a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 298 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, January the 10th, 2026. Yes, my name still, Jeremy Lee. What is going on, everybody? Going to do a few quick announcements. First, Fanatics Collect weekly auction ending watch party. We are back tomorrow night. At this point, I usually run through a whole bunch of sponsor, partner, ad reads. I'm going to try and mix it up this time. I'm going to do a couple now, a couple a little bit later, maybe a couple more a little bit after that. Kind of mix it up a little bit, all right? But in the meantime, if you're thinking about adding a grail to your collection, check out Fund Your Cards, the hobby's leading consolidator. They will help you finance your high-end purchases using your own cards. Visit fundyourcards.com and explore their proprietary client platform. Let's do Mint Inc. now too, guys. Mint Inc., great supporters of the channel, great supporters of the community. Mint Inc. does deliver the ultimate hobby experience, from live whatnot streams to auctions to grading, breaks, and 2 full retail stores, including the newly opened Ajax location. They do it all, and they are buying collections 7 days a week. Click the link in the item. Actually, go ahead now, please. Click that link in the video's description below. Use promo code SCL5 for 5% off your first purchase. Shop online anytime. They offer worldwide shipping. Mint Inc., where collecting comes to life. And I do want you to go hit that link down below, because they told me that it's getting some good engagement, and that means that they'll keep on sponsoring and supporting Sports Cards Live. Let's do Leighton Sheldon, guys. Leighton won't be joining us tonight, but if you are looking to sell a vintage collection, Leighton Sheldon of Just Collect does offer competitive and transparent valuation and payment processes and would love to speak with you. You can email him at leighton@justcollect.com. All right. We're going to stop right there for now. We usually don't. Your questions, your comments are in play, as always. And this is also available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're not yet subscribed, take a moment and do so. And I still want to thank everybody for your loyal viewership, listenership, whether you're listening on pod, whether you are here with us tonight on the live stream, whether you are listening on pod and thinking about joining a live stream in the future. I always love when we have someone in the chat who says it's my first time here on a live stream. All right. If you're on Instagram, I see one of you there right now. All one of you. Come on over to YouTube and join us over there. We have a fun show tonight, guys. We're going to do it a little bit different, bit of a different order tonight. We are going to start in about 10 minutes with Mark Hill, founder, CEO of MyCardPost. You can also click the link in the video description below. We have an affiliate and ambassador code down there. Check out MyCardPost, guys. They are the only subscription-based selling platform in the hobby. And you got to check out the Crown Auctions. The Crown Auctions, the first ever Crown Auctions, launched on Thursday. Guys, these are 3-day auctions, 99-cent start points, and they all end tomorrow, Sunday. So that's pretty cool. Check that out. Mark will be joining us soon. Joe Perot, who you all know, he's going to join us in about an hour's time. And then about an hour after that, we've got the closers. We got Josh Adams and everybody's favorite, Chris McGill. Nothing against Josh Adams, but Chris McGill, just everybody knows that guy. Chris Hoge, as we love to call him. I often think his last name, he should just change it up and just officially change his last name to HOJ. I don't think he'd skip a beat with that. All right, let's say hello to the crowd. Foul ball first in the house tonight. What is up, Jeremy? Guys, if you don't know, his name is Jeremy, and he is a purist. He is an absolute purist on the hobby spectrum. Laura, good evening to you. Always good to see you here. Saying hello to all of our brothers and sisters. Clifton Cards, howdy to you. Larry Gitlin, what's going on? Sammy Hill, good to see you. Linda's first. Yes, saying hello to everybody. Jayhawk, good evening to you. He says, enjoy the hobby, resist the industry. Don't allow the industry to ruin your hobby experience. I mean, that's the message right there. That's the message. Find your way in this hobby, guys. We have Orlando. Orlando has found his way in this hobby. What's up, Orlando? Outlaws, good to see you. MG, what is going on? Mike Petty. What are you doing here, Mike Petty? I didn't know you were going to join us. Good to see you, buddy. Sven Patrick, good evening to you. Jayhawker. Orlando and Petty are in the house, right? It doesn't get better than that. What's up, Nick Chen? Welcome, welcome. Jim Scholl, good to see you. Good to see you. We have got, what does Linda's first say? There's a new hobby term brought to you by Jay Lee, Hobby Super Grail. Yeah, the Super Grails. That's right. Yankees fan, what's going on? You're watching the Bears. Good to know. Hobby Champ says it's absolutely insane that the hobby has never latched onto a cards-only platform with minimal fees to compete with eBay and its ever-increasing nonsense and fees. eBay does have the most eyeballs in the whole hobby. There's no doubt about that, but there is certainly a place for competition. If there's no competition, things go stale, and we know that we love competition in our hobby. I think you're referring, Hobby Champs, to a platform like MyCardPost. Go check it out, guys. Go check it out. I mean, the founder's going to join us soon. He's going to be telling us a little bit about that, but we're going to talk hobby as well. Definitely. E105 is here. What is happening with you? Thank you, Orlando. Linda's first pickup of the week at Crosby Opeachy Micro Motion. Very cool. Shaheen, what's going on? Tasia from Vancouver is here. Rob Star, what's happening, buddy? Chris C, good to see you. Mookie Chilson. Now, you know, if Mookie Chilson's in the house, that this is the place to be. You guys know that. E Young, what is happening? We got Lantern in the house as well. Mike Petty, his name was McGill, and he called himself Lil, but everyone knew him as now. I don't know what you're getting at. Hey, look at that. John Mangini in the house, the hobby president. John, as I was, I had to reboot my computer to make sure we had no issues here tonight. We're probably gonna have a couple still. And as I did, I realized I was in the middle of one of your videos from earlier today. Mike Ham in the house. What is up, buddy? We've got the hobby with Cage. What up, big big maple syrup? I've never been called that before, but I like it. I definitely like it. A collector, Orlando, Mr. Mangini with the new slabs. I forget what the slabs you use are, John, but I did get to that point of the show. Lantern, favorite card in the Slab Sharks Apex auction, the hologram. It's probably not my favorite. I think it's really cool, but it might not be my personal favorite. Hobby Hoops legend, what is going on? Wax Pack Wisdom, good to see you. Oh, those were lyrics. Okay, I just wasn't. My head's everywhere. You know how it goes at the beginning of these shows and throughout these shows, actually. Sam Hill, Petty with a Rocky Raccoon Beatles reference. I know, I got to get with it. I get it. Jay Hawker, what is happening? Hobby Champs, stacked commenters section tonight. Yes, sir, it certainly is. Jim Scholl says Toys R Us was at the top ones too. What about PSA? PSA is pretty entrenched at the top, aren't they? Wax Pack Wisdom. Yes, hobby lyrics from thank you. Everyone's clarifying what Mr. Petty was doing. No doubt. Oh, Greg is here. You're here, Greg. Thankfully, you're here in time. I don't need to start the show over again. Welcome to the show, buddy. Good to see you. And I was very touched by your video that I watched, I think, either this morning or yesterday. It's all a jumble. You guys know how it goes, but that was quite the video there. I learned a lot about you, Greg, and it was nice to learn. I will say that for sure. All right. Couple things before we get started, before we bring out Mark Hill from MyCardPost. I'm going to give you guys the update on the hobby spectrum. You know, I got to do that because I'm loving this thing. I'm really excited about it. And we added one thing to the main page that I want to show you guys here. So I'm going to bring it up. And there it is. There it is. Okay. So what we added was the spectrum snapshot. You can now see how many assessments have been completed, how many people have opted into the directory, and the distribution of the archetype. So we're heavy nostalgic precisionist hybrid. Purists coming in fourth. Builders, operators, and tycoons are picking up the rear. And I think we'll get more of those as time goes on. But that's a pretty nice little touch there. I'm happy to see that so we can see it. You know, it's about transparency. We would just want to show what's going on, how many people are in there, and the directory is filling up. 452 people in here now and growing quite rapidly. We're going to be taking the gate off the front of the site, so it won't be by access code anymore. Very soon, we're working on one last feature before we kind of go public, and that'll be pretty exciting. So hope you guys are enjoying that. I'm getting some great feedback. People are meeting new people through it. It's amazing. So I want to thank everybody for supporting it so far. The book, Pops and Comps, guys, I got the interior design back from the interior designer this morning, making a few editorial comments to make a few changes, but that thing should be ready to go. Well, I think we're going to be ready to go here by the end of the month, probably for sure. So that's exciting. I also want a big thank you to Brian Dennison from Cajun Cardboard. He had me on his channel. I don't think he's dropped it yet, but we had a great discussion a few days ago, recorded an episode there. He's going to be dropping that on the Cajun Cardboard YouTube channel. And also Alex from Collectors MD. We had about an hour and a half conversation yesterday, a live stream on the Collectors MD YouTube channel. That is out there right now. We covered a lot of things in that episode. If anybody's looking for some extra content, go check that out on the Collectors MD YouTube channel. Even got emotional at one point. I'm going to be honest with you guys. He brought out something in me that I haven't really talked about before, I don't think. So I'm going to leave that to you to go find in that video if you are so willing to do that. We got Jeff McMahon in the house. What is up, Jeff McMahon? Welcome to the show. Always good to see you. Situational says Phil from Spitball and Cards highlighted the spectrum, and T-Pop put it up on the screen in their video. I wasn't aware. Thanks for letting me know. I will go check that out. Situational Adventures. That's great to hear. Hodges says gave the video a like. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Hodges. Much appreciate that. Lou Rock's retirement and Lou Rock's retiring. Wow, good for him. We got to get Lou Rock on the show sooner than later. Thank you, Michael Ham. Ask people to hit the like button. Hey, I always say, if you're enjoying the show, hit the like button. If you're not enjoying the show, hit the like button or hit the don't like button. That's okay too. What is up, Dan's Vintage Baseball PC? Good to see you, Dan. Welcome to the show. Oh, I like that new icon you got there, buddy. Little AI action right there. It looks like very, very nice. All right. And Strongsville, I know a lot of talk about the Strongsville change. I'm trying to keep up with that. I'm still planning on going, even though it might be, is it called the Independence Show now? I'm not sure. I want to get to the Strongsville show. Oh, I saw my buddy Patriot Sports Cards, Jeff Hart, in the house as well. What is up, Jeff? I must have missed that originally. I think I got to everybody there. Well, all right, guys. It's Saturday night. We're here on Sports Cards Live. I'm excited. Why don't we go ahead and bring up Mark? Mark, I see you back there. Are you good to join? You want us to come in a couple minutes early? He's giving me the thumbs up. Let's bring on Mark Hill. Oh, before we do, I got to warn you guys that I played with the layouts here because, as you may have noticed, in the last couple of weeks, all the sponsor partner logos on the marquee at the top are bigger than before because I couldn't fit them all into one screen. So we have like two. There's that one. If you look at the top, there's that one, and there's that one. So I'm going to try and like flip between them. But in doing so, they were being covered up recently, and I tried to play with the layout. So let's see how that works. The other problem is that my camera is right in front of the layouts on my screen. So I'm going to have to look around to see. But let's bring out Mark and see how that goes very quickly. Yes, Vintage Oddball, they changed locations. Piccolina, the cat, what's happening? Okay, let's bring out Mark Hill. Mark, here we go. Hey, how are you, buddy?
I'm here.
Hey.
Welcome. I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing good. It's good to have you. Love what you're doing at MyCard. But we had a good chat the other day. So just let's talk hobby. We'll talk about MyCardPost, but really I want to talk about what you as a entrepreneur in the hobby are going through building your platform. You are doing it all on your own. You are, I think we call that bootstrapping. You're bootstrapping the business. And I've got some questions about that for you. And by the way, guys, Mark is a nostalgic. He's a 25 on the hobby spectrum. That's fun to do now, right? I get to do that now. That's always fun. Yeah, man, let's talk about that. But first, Crown Auctions. I think we should jump into that because your Crown Auctions launched on Thursday. It's a 3-day auction. Every item starts at 99 cents. They're ending on Sunday. I want to just get right into it, buddy. What prompted you to launch the Crown Auction idea amongst the other methods upon which people can buy, sell, and trade cards on MyCardPost?
Yeah, well, first, auctions are still fairly new on the platform. Maybe 7 or 8 months ago, we rolled out, the ability to do auctions, which are either 24 or 72-hour auctions, like just fast-paced, high energy. But we really wanted to create like more of like a specialized event where there was like no distractions. It was like a clean, new, exciting, high energy section that had really high quality cards where people can just go directly to this focus section and, start bidding on cards without having, all the different kinds of values and variations of cards like mixed in between them all and like trying to surface and find, okay, where's like the cool cards that I want to bid on? So we really wanted to kind of create an event, which right now we're planning to do monthly. And, we came up with the Crown Crown auction branding for the event. So right now we're in the midst of it. Yeah, so it's going on right now. All the auctions started Thursday night around 6 p.m. and they win. They're 90 seconds apart. They're staggered every 90 seconds. So they're all going to start ending tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. And then, again, we'll see how many of them end up going into like extended bidding, which is always exciting for all people involved.
So if anybody watching, listening wants to, and this part of the episode will drop on podcast tomorrow, like early afternoon. So anyone listening on pod might be able to get in there. Do you need to be a member, a paid member, to bid on the auctions? How does it work for people who might want to go check out what's going on in the Crown auctions?
No, yeah. Again, MyCardPost is subscription based. If you want to list cards for sale or trade in our marketplace, but it's totally free to join. So if you just want to be somebody who buys cards or wants to bid on the active auctions that are running, it's totally free to join. There's no subscription required. It's just a real easy, very quick sign up process. And you can do anything. You can buy single cards. You can do multi-card cash offers. You can bid on more than one auction and have them all be combined into a single order from a single seller. So yeah, it's totally free to join if you just want to be someone who just buys and doesn't sell or trade.
Well, Mike Petty's asking, where is the link to this Crown auction? Why don't it's simply mycardpost.com. That's it, Mike Petty. Check it out. So, and actually, go to the link in the video description first. We have a link down below, and at least Mark will know where it's coming from. I don't think, like, we do have sort of an affiliate program between Sports Cards Live and MyCardPost, but it's really for the sellers. But even I'd like the buyers, even if you're just buying, do it through the affiliate post so Mark knows where it came from. That'll be pretty cool too. Even though there's
you can just go to the auction section. So you'll see that there's the fixed price marketplace, and then there's an auction section. And the first tab, we have these little quick filter tabs. You'll see the Crown event highlighted, and all the cards look different, right? They have gold lettering, gold bid buttons. So, the whole look and feel of the Crown auction listings are very different than just the traditional.
And look at this. E105 just downloaded the app. So there's an app too. Go download the app, guys. Let's support Mark. He's bootstrapping this thing. It's the only subscription-based marketplace in the hobby. There's no seller's fees. It's kind of funny. Not funny. It's kind of cool. You go to the website and it shows there's like a dashboard, fees saved. So you can see how much the members have saved in fees. It's pretty, it's a nice alternative to what we're used to. So check it out, everybody. That'd be a great thing to help. Let's support the entrepreneurs in the hobby that are trying to supply and provide some different sort of things. So Crown auctions, they're live. They end on Sunday, everybody. Mark, 2025 is behind us now, but I just wanted to ask you, what was the growth like for your business, for MyCardPost, in 2025?
Yeah, it's always exciting to see, how far we've, literally it's only been 3 years. In November, it was, we had just reached 3 years since we launched this thing out of nowhere too, right? By the way, 2025 exciting, specifically at the end of the year too, because we were nominated for the Hobby Awards. So the last quarter of 2025, like, we saw a lot of explosive growth, and we're seeing that continue even at a much more rapid pace this month in January. There was a video that went out from Find Your Trove just a couple of days ago that has really produced a lot of new awareness for what we're doing here, and new users and all that stuff. But yeah, it was really exciting. It was a year of, it was the first full year we had a mobile app. We rolled out a ton of new features, auctions being one of them. And we've just been continuing to grow. We have hurdles and hardships like most people, right? Where people, people can come and go. And, one of the biggest things that I struggle with the most is because I'm not eBay and I don't have, 10 million users on this platform. It's hard to get there overnight, but I'm doing my best to, try to grow this as fast as possible. And, the growth every month is really exciting. So we continuously are hitting, new, high benchmarks for just users and subscribers and deals. We're seeing 1,500 deals go down every single month. We passed $4 million in total transactions not too long ago. So yeah, it's been really exciting. It's not easy, but very exciting.
$4 million. That's impressive for for a marketplace that hasn't yet. Like, do you feel like you've hit a critical mass yet at MyCardPost? Not yet, hey. But you're at 4 million in transaction value already. I'm impressed by that. Are you happy with that? You always want to do more and do better, but I think that's great. What do you guys think in the chat think? I mean, $4 million bucks, and many of you might not even be aware yet of MyCardPost until right now. We can help build that number, but are you proud of that, Mark?
I mean, I'm very proud. I'm very proud to have made it this far. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't even make it this far in a lot of businesses where it's hard to get something like this off the ground. Especially for me, I was like a nobody, right? I'm just a regular guy who decided to just go down this path and build this platform. I didn't have any sort of existing hobby reputation to launch something like this off of. So I truly started from zero, and the first 10 users and the first 100 users, and then we hit the first 1,000. So, here we are. We're over 17,000. Users on the platform. We have, usually around like 55, 60,000 listings at any given time. Cards can come and go, right? Because somebody may be subscribed for a few months, have a lot of cards, and then they decide to cancel their subscription for a while, which, removes their cards. So you're never going to see MyCardPost be littered with a lot of dormant listings or dormant sellers. So it's a very different type of platform, that the model produces. But I am very proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished. And of course, you'd love to see more. And of course, I have like 500 things that I would love to be, rolled out and developed and on the platform, but can only do so much so fast with the resources we have. So, it is hard to kind of pick and choose like, well, okay, what are the top priorities we need to be developing right now? Even though that would be exciting and super fun to have, like I got to kind of park it to the side for now and focus on things that are higher value for our collector community.
Yeah, absolutely. I like at the beginning you said, I was a nobody. Does that mean that? I think that means you're a somebody now.
I'm still a nobody. I have massive imposter syndrome with a platform like this. There's so many, people out there with much bigger reputations than me. And to this day, right? People are discovering MyCardPost for the first time every single day. I see it all the time, but like, I never heard of this platform. How come, so yeah.
You said, imposter syndrome. That's a real thing. I think a lot of us have had it or have it to certain different degrees along the way in whatever we're doing. But I think, and I kind of wonder, I'm just thinking of speaking as I'm thinking here. And of course, in a live stream, sometimes what I think doesn't make much sense, but does the imposter syndrome keep us humble at all? Do you feel, and I'm not talking about you or the hobby. I'm just talking general psychology. Do you think having imposter syndrome, can that be an asset to somebody, or is it something that might hold you back? What are your thoughts?
I truly believe it does. I do believe it keeps you humble. It keeps you hungry. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you focused on, for me personally, like trying to build this thing and do it the right way. And, try to build with the benefits and features and return on investment for the people that are using it. And not, for me personally, right? This isn't a platform that I'm trying to build to make myself rich. Like this is something I truly built for the, genuine passion for the hobby and for the greater good of the people using it, because they want, so desperately want a platform like this that, benefits them the most, first and foremost. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think it does, but I also think too, like imposter syndrome for a lot of people who, maybe want to start a business and are afraid, to start because they're scared of that. In that sense, I think it is a negative because, I look back on my origins here. Like I was super scared to launch this thing. I thought people were going to just trash it. And I had all these like negative thoughts in my head about what people were going to say and how people were going to respond. And none of it came true. Right. So I think in that sense, feeling those fears and imposter syndrome things, like I don't want them to hold anybody back because most often that's just junk in your head, so.
Well, and the fear of failure, I think, is natural. Even launching the hobby spectrum, I've got some concerns as well, just natural concerns that what if it's no good? What if people don't like it? What if it gets trapped? I know, there's going to be haters. There's always going to be that sort of thing, but you've had some support along the way. I have to think. It's more of a question. Have you found the hobby to be at all supportive of you? Have you found certain segments, certain individuals, even, not that you have to name them, you can if you want, but have you found support from maybe some places you were expecting and even some places you weren't expecting along your journey of building MyCardPost to where it is today?
Yeah, there's definitely people that are rooting for me. Whether it's public or behind the scenes is different, and that's okay, because I understand people's situations and circumstances are different depending on who their employer is and whatnot. But yeah, I definitely think, specifically our community, like our community and power users, and a lot of these people that have been with us since those early days when they weren't selling very much and when there wasn't that many listings and they weren't getting these many deals, they just immediately like clicked with the platform. Like, whoa, yes, this is the way forward for all of us in the hobby who, you know, complain about fees and restrictions and, you know, all this different stuff. So yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that I have a tremendous amount of support. I get, you know, messages from our community and these are the most important, right? I get messages from our community daily, thanking me for building the platform or rooting for me. And like, is there anything I can do to help you, and wanting to help, you know, pull this thing forward because they desperately want to see it succeed. You know, but there's also, you know, other avenues out there where it would be nice to be recognized in certain other channels. And I feel like we were in the Hobby Awards was great. That really like helped put a little bit of a spotlight on what we're doing and raise awareness for people that didn't know about it. So, I mean, I would love to, you always love to see more, but you know, marketing's hard, you know, and marketing can be expensive sometimes. And yeah, so, but look, I think the most important thing, as I said, is our community of users and collectors. And as long as we're giving them everything that they need and they continue to support us, that's, you know, that's all I need to ask for.
And just to take it one layer deeper, perhaps, you're a small business. You're running a small business in the hobby, which is, you know, a part of the industry. Have you found support from other small business owners in the hobby? Do you have any people who you reach out to and maybe ask, are you dealing with this, or how do you deal with that? Or, you know, give me some words of encouragement. Like, I'm sure you have your good days, Mark, and you probably have some days where you're feeling like, what am I doing here? You know, is this thing because you at one point in the journey so far of MyCardPost, you retired, or you left your job. So now it's all on you. It's all on MyCardPost for you to make this thing work. Have you got any sort of support group within the hobby?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, again, as it related to like the Hobby Awards, that, you know, raised some awareness of the platform, and definitely saw that there was other, you know, not marketplaces per se, but other people who are building tools and card recognition apps and, you know, different types of things out there, wanting to discover and see if there's ways of partnering or collaborating on technology. So yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, and I always take those calls and I always take those meetings. I'm always, you know, wanting to support them as well. But yeah, definitely have gotten, you know, a lot of outreach from other small businesses who are living and breathing this as well, right? Because we all realize like it's not easy. You know, sometimes it's hard to compete, you know, with the 800-pound gorillas out there, but, you know, we can do better together. You know, so anytime that we can find ways to collaborate or figure out if there's mutual benefits to our technologies and merging them together. So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of that. And I continue to try to take those calls, and we have some things that are in the works, along those lines. And yeah, I mean, I did, you know, I felt, you know, been working a full-time job this entire time while I was doing this. But it got to the point where I felt like I was doing a little bit of a disservice to like not giving it my full attention because I had a day job and I was in meetings all day. And it's like, so yeah, 6 months ago, I quit my sales job, which was stressful in of itself. So I was on one side of the fence, super happy to be able to relieve myself of those duties. But yeah, so we've been jumping all in here for the last 6 months, and it's proving to be the right move, right? Because we're seeing the growth, you know, now that I can give it a lot more time and attention that I probably was lacking in or the early part of last year.
Yeah, it's a big jump there to leave the job and put everything on the line here for this. But I mean, you've already got a lot 17,000 users. That's really good. 4 million in transactional volume so far. That, to me, that sounds like a pretty good foundation to build upon. More recognition happening as time goes by. Yeah. So I think that's great, and you're on a good pace right now. It seems like, guys, I want to shout out GP Sports Cards. They are your place for hockey breaks every Wednesday and Friday, here streaming live on YouTube. Check out GP Sports Cards for breaks and product drops. All right, let's go to a few comments here. Mark, first of all, MG here says, I've been to both venues. We're talking about the Strongsville show here, where the Strongsville show was and where it is moving to. The Fieldhouse is where it is. It's going to be a much better venue. Well, that's great to hear. And MG says the downfall is there is not a hotel right beside the Fieldhouse. Yeah, that means you're Ubering or renting a car. Bob Boozle says he's talking about MyCardPost. He says the website works, so that's better than some other platforms that tried to launch this year. Yeah, that's
no comment. No comment.
I can comment. Boozle's taking a swipe at Probstein Snipe. He's taking a swipe at Snipe.
Yeah.
Put that on a shirt right there. Taking a swipe at Snipe. Linda's first says, I'm checking it out right now. Love the look and ease of it. I'll definitely be using it daily when I make my rounds. Awesome. Go through the link below, guys. Double V, what's happening? Good to see you, Mike. Good to see you. Midlife Greg says, Mark, keep grinding. It will pay off. That's what I want to hear. That's the encouragement, the support that I want to see the community give Mark and all small businesses who you guys want to support out there. That's the good stuff in the hobby right there. Mike Petty says, I haven't read this yet. Let's see what he says. Imposter syndrome is the feeling that you haven't earned your success. You simply got lucky and you're a fraud or imposter around people who actually earned it and know what they're doing. That's a strong definition there. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's pretty strong. And there must be different sort of, I bet that the imposter syndrome exists on a spectrum itself from, low syndrome to high syndrome. So, but thank you, Mike Petty, for defining it here for everybody in the chat. Mike, if I need further definitions down the road, can you please be on alert and pop them into the chat? We often need defined terms here on the show. Mike Double V says, big shout out and thank you to Mark. I won an Instagram contest for a free 1-year subscription to MyCardPost. There's your winner right there, Mark.
Yes, congrats. Absolutely. I remember that. That was just last week or so.
Very cool. Mr. Manos, what did you miss? You better rewind and find out. Good to have you. Welcome to the show. And Michael Rader is here. Good to have you here with us, Michael Rader, as well. Oh, look at this. Volume accumulation. Just signed up for MyCardPost. Already found a card I like. That's pretty cool right there. Love to hear that. Midlife says Mark's web guy is better than Rick's web guy. We got Bobby Burrell in the house, everybody. And if you got to go to Bobby's YouTube channel. If you want to learn part of the history of the hobby, Bobby just released a 5-episode series on the Parkhurst Trading Company. I learned a ton. I actually watched one of his first or 2 videos of the series a few weeks ago. I just got to 3, 4, and 5 like yesterday or the day before. But when I watched episodes 1 and 2, Bobby featured the very first, I think, non-sports cards that were ever issued by Parkhurst. And anyway, he ended up having a set, and I bought it off him, and they're in my hand right here. This is like this 1951 set of I don't even remember what they're called right now, but these are like, you've got cards here of Dick Tracy, Popeye, Alvin and Slats, like some cartoons I'd never even heard of, but like just really neat graphics on these little cards. The backs are very 50s-esque sort of thing. So very a nice complete set. How many cards is this? It's like 39 cards total in this set. So Bobby puts up a video, gets a sale out of me. That's how it works. We're always, Mark, it comes down to sort of like being influenced. We always want to say, oh, influencers are so, there's this negative stigma around influencers. Anybody with a platform, whether it's YouTube or even just an Instagram or a Twitter account, whatever, you have some influence. People are watching you. Yeah. Bobby puts up a video. I watch a video, someone shows some cards I like, I take interest in them. That can influence me. And so if you want to save your money, maybe don't go watch his videos. I'm just kidding. Go check out his videos. It's super educational, tons of imagery, just like his books. I loved it. I got through all 5 episodes and I kind of savored them. Anyway, check him out, guys. Check him out. Colin Murray, welcome to the show. Hey, Mike W. says, excellent series on Parkhurst. Bob Boozle's going to watch them. Dan's Vintage, I need a definition of YouTube commenter Hall of Fame. Double B's he's even going to go watch those Parkhurst videos again. Very cool. Mangini says, Petty, can you define oddball and what is a rookie card? Mangini, didn't we agree? I know Rick might not be pleased, but we started calling at the National when we were hanging out there that one night at that event. We called them obscure cards. Mark, does MyCardPost offer oddballs or obscure cards on the platform?
Bring them. We don't discriminate against any trading cards. So whatever genre you love, like bring them. I'm sure there's an audience for them. So absolutely.
Very nice. The Cardboard Corner just got the MCP app, browsing as we speak. Looks great. Hey, we're getting some downloads for you, Mark.
I love it. Enjoy it. We're
That's
here to help
awesome.
if you have any questions.
There we go. Bobby clarifies these are called 1953 color comic cards. There's just 3 more. I mean, I didn't have to pay him a lot of money for them. He gave me a price. I just said, "What's the PayPal address?" or maybe the EMT address, and I sent it along. There he is. There's Rick Vintage. Love me some oddball cards. Dan's Vintage says, "I'm influenced by Bob Boozle." Hey, there's Jake, 90s B-ball cards. What's up, Jake? Feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Not in here. I mean, in person. I don't think I saw you at the National. We got to see each other again here, buddy. One of these times. Mike Petty says an oddball card is centered and a rookie card is overrated and overpriced. I was thinking about that myself today. I was thinking, now, please, nobody take this the wrong way, because I don't even know that I believe it, but I was thinking rookie cards are overappreciated and non-rookie cards are underappreciated. And I'm not going to say overrated or overvalued or overcollected. None of that. Just like, why? I understand firsts are important. There's even a chapter in Pops and Comps about firsts. But why does a 1-year gap make the second year card so much less desirable than a rookie year card? I know. You're Jeremy. What are you talking about? Why would you ask that question? It's a rookie card. You know, it's a rookie card. I know, guys. I was rookie card crazy for the first 43 years of my collecting. It's only recently that I'm appreciating non-rookie cards. It's almost like they're the underdog. They're the imposters. I feel bad for them. I want to support them. I want to support small businesses. I want to support second-year cards. Is that fair, Mark?
It'd be easier to collect. It'd be easier to PC. They'd be cheaper. They'd be less competition for them. I'm a little bit of a sucker too. I mean, here's my latest pickup of the day. I got Pedro Martinez, rookie card inscribed with Hall of Fame, PSA 1010. So I'm still a sucker for rookie cards.
That's an IP auto, of course. Is that the 91 update?
Yeah, 91 final edition update.
Yeah,
PSA 1010 auto. And I like the David Ortiz ones as well. I like that they have the Hall of Fame inscriptions on them. So I've been trying to secure more of those. But yeah,
well, that's awesome. And I think Dennis Martinez is Pedro Martinez. Pedro.
He's the GOAT.
I met him at the National one year, not at the National, but at a restaurant at the during the National.
Oh, very cool.
A few years ago. And he was so dang cool. And then I watched, I forget what the name of the documentary is that covered their playoff run that one year.
Yeah.
And he's probably like my favorite pitcher of all time. So I love that card. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Red Sox fan, so that's how it originates. But I mean, dude, he was just lethal during his career. It was so fun to grow up watching him. So yeah, I definitely try to get a couple of nice Pedros in my PC.
And he's not wearing a fluorescent green shirt and leaning up against the wall like it's a high school yearbook photo or something. So it's really, really cool. Yeah. John at 3D 80s Kid and for collectors says, "I'd view your Burrell experience as inspiration, not influence." John, you nailed it, buddy. That's what that's the same terminology that I often use is we being, a lot of us YouTube creators, we're not influencers, we're inspirers, and we are inspirees. I get inspired probably more than I inspire. And I love it. Thanks for reminding me of that, John. I couldn't agree with you more at all. Chrissy says 70s Kellogg's are my oddball favorites. Very fair. I think those are really cool looking cards too. Yeah, Dan's Bench says, Jeremy, Victor just unsubbed after that rookie card statement. Me and Victor are good, but I know what you mean. MG says, Jay Lee, I'm sure I may be able to accommodate you on another ride like I did at the Cleveland National. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael Stone. I greatly appreciate that. Hobby Champ says, because second year, third year, etc., isn't an interesting identifier. Who cares? Who cares if it isn't an interesting identifier? Where are we getting this lingo from anyway, Hobby Champs? What does the card look like? It's early career. It's a nice image. Like,
does it have an auto?
What's that?
It has an autograph, so autograph still means something, even if it's a second, third year card.
Sure. I'm even thinking about in the world of vintage, vintage cards is like, I collect rookie cards. Listen, it's not like I don't. I have a ton of rookie cards. I love them. I collect rookie cards, but I'm also collecting non-rookie cards. Like my recent pickup of a John Unitas second year card. I love it. I like it more than his rookie year card. Believe it or not, I owned his rookie card. I sold it when I had to sell some cards, and I replaced it with a second year card. I like it better. I really do. Call me crazy. But you know what? Listen, I have nothing against rookie cards, guys. I have nothing against rookie cards. I love rookie cards. Please, I do. But why can't I also love second year, third year cards? That's it. It's like a relative to each other thing. I'm not attacking rookie cards. Don't worry, Victor. We're still friends, buddy. We are still friends. Absolutely. Hey, Mike Petty says that's a nice Pedro. So does Chris.
Thank you.
See? Yeah, Jim Scholl says Johnny Bench's second year card is awesome. And so is Nolan Ryan's from that same year. Yeah, I mean, anytime a player shares a rookie card with other players, the second year card is very desirable. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, another good call out as far as non-baseball goes. Dennis Martinez. Yeah, I interviewed Dennis Martinez at the Montreal Expo last year, which was fun. Talked about his no-hitter. That was pretty cool. Okay, let's see. Dan's Vintage is inspired by Bob Boozle. Dan, you're not special, bro. Everybody's inspired by Bob Boozle. And if you have not yet checked out Bob Boozle's Instagram account, he's out there and he is killing the AI images, you guys. Check out Bob Boozle on Instagram. Hey, there's Phil at the Loud Collector, part of the
Hey, Phil.
Show. What's up,
most
Loud?
interesting man in the hobby.
He not? Is he,
He
not
is,
the most?
he is 100%. I love Phil.
He absolutely is. Guys, check out the Hockey Cards Gong Show on Friday nights with Phil and California Dave. Check it out. Check it out. Yes, you did, Sammy Hill. You heard a call out to El Presidente. You sure did. My wife and I watched the show Traders last night. I'm mentioning this because Mr. Manos calls out Kelsey, and Kelsey's mother, who is Taylor Swift's mother-in-law, is on the show. So yeah, I never knew who she was, but anyway, Kelsey's mother is on the show Traders this season. If anybody watches that. Rookie cup cards are great. Situational adventures. Absolutely. Phil saying you got to come up to the expo, Mark. Have you been to an expo in Toronto yet?
You know what? I haven't. This is embarrassing. I literally have an expired passport for 2 years, and I literally need someone to help me get it refreshed. So I'm way overdue to get over there. Yeah, I wanted to make the last one, but I'm too lazy on my passport. So I'll get
get your passport. That we're not going to put up with that excuse for much longer. All right.
It's embarrassing.
Get the passport. Okay, Bob Boozle is taking it to the extreme. He says ban rookie cards. Well, you can't do that because then there's no cards. Then there's no cards, right? Just look at these guys that their rookie card is 4 years into the career. We see that a lot in the hobby. Hobby Champ says, I'll collect any card. I'm just saying I'd rather have a 68 Topps Nolan Ryan than a 1990. Well, yeah, me too. But if we're sticking in the world of vintage, I don't consider 1990 vintage, but I hear you. Midlife Greg says, I love all cards. Greg, you're just the nicest guy in the hobby. I don't know what else to tell you right there. Dan's Vintage says, 2026 trend started by Jeremy. Sell your rookies and buy second-year cards.
You have a lot more cards.
I'm not trying to do that, but I just think that non-rookie card, and I'm not talking about all non-rookie cards, guys, Mark. I'm talking about those early career. In the world of vintage, modern cards, it's different with all the parallels and inserts. There's so many cool non-rookie year cards now that it doesn't matter. They already are caught up in some ways. How many downtowns and kabooms sell for more than these players' rookie cards anyway? And
that's true,
right, Mark? And all the different levels and tiers of cards, it's totally different in modern and ultra modern. When I say rookie cards are overappreciated, non-rookie cards are underappreciated, I'm talking about vintage. And I don't mean, let me retract rookie cards being overappreciated, just relative to second-year cards. That's all I'm saying there. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, Chris C calls out the 64 Pete Rose. Looks better than his rookie, although I love the rookie card. We've got Mookie Chilson just bought his first card on MyCardPost, a nice rough cut. O-Pee-Chee, 1972. Gil Hodges, his last card. Last cards. Why don't last cards get any love? Beautiful. And I mean last playing day. And it only really matters in the world of vintage, I would say, because later on, next year, there's more cards. I mean, where do you fall, Mark, for your personal collecting? I know you collect David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins. You collect some hockey, and you're in the States, but do you collect, other than the pitcher cards you showed now, what else do you collect besides David Pastrnak?
Yeah, so I'm big into the Bruins. Obviously, I have Pedro Martinez. I dabble in David Ortiz as well. So I try to get some of his nice rookie autos and rare rookie cards. I'm big into golf, which is weird, right? So I'm heavy into golf. I have I think I have the best Colin Morikawa PC out there. So I'm a big Colin Morikawa guy. Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas. A couple of cards with Tiger Woods in them, like some of the game use patches and stuff like that. So I like a lot of the SP game use cards. So yeah, golf is probably one of my top PCs outside of Pasternak. But I'm a big Boston guy, right? Born and raised. I live in California now, but so a lot of the Hall of Fame legends of the different sports. I don't do basketball as much, so definitely much more hockey, baseball, and football. I would love to have. I can't afford it, but I would love to have. Some Tom Brady rookie cards. That's probably the one thing that doesn't exist in my PC. It's been quite elusive for me, but I dabbled in some Drake May, and I had some really nice returns on those cards in the last 6 months as well. So
realized returns, or you're still holding them?
Realized returns. I sold his Black Pandora downtown.
Wow, good for you. Nice. And
nice.
are you going to take those proceeds and put them back into more cards? Is that kind of the plan, or are they going to help continue to bootstrap MyCardPost?
Yeah, a lot of that kind of stuff. I definitely run it back into the platform. So I'll put that towards development costs of new features, or paying for different things. I have a couple people on our team that that help and do different things for us behind the scenes. So yeah, a lot of that money goes back into the business.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Carl Taylor says, "Hi guys, actually at my niece's getting her to set up my channel, so we'll have you on the background. Jeremy, need to talk to you about the Spectrum. Carl, we can get together and meet anytime you want." Carl had his YouTube debut on the Four Collectors YouTube channel just a couple days ago, guys. Check that out. Carl is just a wonderful person in our hobby. MG says, "In the vintage world, I find myself also enjoying the last year card, especially with players who played with the same team, which is rare, but that's pretty cool." There's California Dave from the Gong Show. What's up, Dave? He is snuggling. Him and Loud Collector Phil, they are snuggling right now, guys.
Dave, I can't unsee that now, my friend.
I'm sorry I had to say that out loud, because now we all have this in our heads.
But Dave, let's get out on the golf course soon, bud. We live near each other, so.
And let's change the topic right now.
Yeah.
Confluence Sports Cards. Good evening and welcome to the show. Chris C says, "Not just vintage, the 90s had tons of great non-rookie cards and inserts, especially in basketball." Absolutely. It's like the 90s, the moderns, the ultra moderns. It's I don't have those same sort of feelings or thoughts that I do about non-rookie cards as I do for the 80s and before. It's really relegated to 1989 and prior for the comments that I've been making tonight about rookie cards and non-rookie cards. And Mark, as Linda's first reminds us, the Bruins did beat the Rangers 10-2 today. That's a football game score almost. Massive. And your guy Pasternak had 6 points, 6 assists.
I was stoked. Yeah, it was a rout today.
Absolutely crazy. Jim Scholl says 71 Thurman Munson is better than the 1970. Couldn't agree more. The 70s, and it's his rookie card, it's important, but the 71, not only for Thurman, but that's just a wonderful set overall. So yeah, very, very cool. And again, definitely do agree with that. Hey, Midlife says vintage golf cards are the best. So there's a bit of, I don't know, either competition or just additional community. Hey, I got to tell you guys, anything you want to say there, Mark?
No, I just like the golf. I still feel I think it's an up and coming, category, which I'm heavy into it now, but I still feel like our golf collectors circle is very small. So I welcome anybody who wants to come in and collect golf cards with me.
Well, Mike LaCusta has a golf card podcast. Maybe you're familiar with Mike LaCusta. I'm not sure. He's actually local to me just by coincidence, but he's got a golf card podcast, or at least he did. I think he's still doing it, but it's a small, tight community. So, and that reminds me, and I want to share this with you guys, as far as, the hobby spectrum goes, the feature that we're going to be bringing here. And Mark, I want you to listen to this, because this is really cool. The feature that we're going to bring before we take the gate off the front and kind of just go public with it is that we're going to also enable searching for collectors by the sport, the team, and the player they collect. So if you want to if you want to find other people who collect Pedro Martinez or Tom Brady or any player really, and hopefully in any sport, you'll be able to find them as long as they're on the hobby spectrum, and search that way. So we'll be sending out an email to people who are already on there to say, hey, come on back in, update your hobby spectrum score, because you're going to be able to take it once every 30 days and fill out who the team and the sports that you collect, so that you will be more easily discovered and you can discover more collectors who collect the way that you do. So
I love that. I think it's a great idea. It's funny because, you know, a lot of people in our community know that I'm a big Pastrnak collector, and some of my better PC cards were brought to me from the collector. Like, hey, Mark, I'm looking to move this card. I know you're a big pasta collector. Like, are you interested? So I've had a lot of those like first dib opportunities for, you know, that kind of thing. So that's a great feature idea.
thank you. It's very encouraging to hear that from you, because I'm excited to get it rolled out. We're going to start developing it with Inferno Red Technologies. If any of you guys listen, and I'm sure many of you do, listen to Stacking Slabs with Brett McGrath, one of my favorite podcasts in the space. He does a show that is sponsored by Inferno Red Technologies, and these are the same guys that built the hobby, or built and are building and will continue to build the hobby spectrum, along with myself and my small team. And check them out. Ed Snyder, who's the lead developer on our project at Hobby Spectrum, is a hobbyist. He's a collector. He's on Instagram as Dev Collector. You can find him on the Spectrum directory. He's actually, if you sort it by join date, he was the person who got on there just after I did. So you can go in there and check it out. But he's been interviewed by Brett McGrath, as has Scott Locke, the co-founder of Inferno Red Technologies. They work with several companies in the hobby and outside the hobby. They're a serious software development company. And but listen to Brett's podcast listen to them anyway, but listen to the ones with Inferno Red. They're great episodes. Really a nice, a really cool look into the hobby and what's going on, sort of like under the hood, if you will. So check that out, you guys. 90s B-Ball Jake says 90s is king. I think a lot of people do feel that way. The 90s, for such a short amount of time, kind of like have the biggest piece of the pie on a like pound for pound basis sort of thing. On MyCardPost, Mark, let me ask you this. Are there lots of 90s cards? Like what is the inventory on MyCardPost like evenly spread through vintage, 90s, modern, ultra modern? How would you explain the cross section of inventory?
I would say, I mean, from a category sport perspective, yes, but I would say vintage is probably underserved a little bit. I would love to see more vintage card collectors bringing those cards to the platform. I would definitely say it probably leans a little bit more 90s and more modern. I agree. I mean, we talk about the non-rookie cards. Like, I'm a big fan of those, you know, all those 90s refractors and different. I've definitely have picked up a bunch of those from like Pedro's and Nomar Garcia Power, a lot of my favorite players. So yeah, but I would say it's probably a little bit more modern with kind of the, you know, current group of collectors we have on there right now. But, you know, there's definitely some people that have some vintage cards on there. I would just love to see more.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyone here wants to join, you can upload them to MyCardPost.
Yeah.
Timepiece Esquire, how are we defining vintage these days? I get beyond annoyed when people talk about the holy grail of card eras, the 90s, as vintage. It's not vintage. It's my childhood era. Okay. And I'm not vintage. No, I consider the 90s to be the 90s. In my book that's coming out soon, Pops and Comps, we had to divide the eras somehow, because in one of the appendices, we actually lay out how many cards have been graded from every single year. So cards that were issued in 1917, how many cards have been graded as of, I think we're at like it's December 3rd, 2025. That's the latest information that we got into the book, courtesy of GemRate, by the way. Thank you to Ryan and GemRate. But in doing that, I kind of had to draw some lines. So we have vintage going up until like 1986, and then we have junk wax era going from, I think it's 87 to 93 or 94, and then we have the 90s going from like 94 to 99, modern 2000 to 2012 or 2011, I think, and ultra modern 11 or 12 to current. So You don't have to agree with it. That's okay. It's just, it's just the direction that we took. But I think I know a lot of people consider vintage to begin when Topps lost the monopoly in the early 80s. That's fair. I'm not going to argue with it. We can all look at it however we do, but we had to come up with something. So we did. Do you have an opinion on that, Mark? When does vintage end in your mind?
I don't. I obviously understand, the boundaries and thresholds you put into it. I don't have a strong opinion of it. I think most cards after 2000 are considered basically modern in my book, just because of, how things have evolved here the last 10, 15, 20 years. So it's hard to draw a line in the sand as exactly when vintage stops, though.
Yeah. And then there's also like the pre-war. Like, is pre-war a part of vintage? Is it a subsection of vintage, or is it just its own thing? I don't know. And, doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, just call them the year they're from if you want. But we talk, there's the vintage community, the Strongsville vintage community. There's the community that just kind of refers to itself as, I collect vintage. I'm part of the vintage community. I think if you're collecting cards from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, you're comfortably collecting vintage. It's when we get into the 80s that people start to diverge as to where the cutoff is, and that's fine. I don't care enough to do what Dan's doing, which is oh no, not that one. To what Dan's doing here. He says 86 vintage. I'm joining Victor in the unsubs tonight. See you later, Dan. It's been nice having you here for the last few years. Just kidding, of course. Dan, don't unsub, buddy. Don't unsub. 90s hockey collector, good evening and welcome to the show. Dan's Vintage here says to you, Mark, if you want more vintage guys, offer incentives. How would you respond to that comment?
I would love to unpack that more. I would gladly offer incentives if I knew what would move the needle. So Dan, I would love to hear more from you. So by all means, reach out to me, share your thoughts. I'd welcome them. So I don't have any good answers, but I'm an open book, very transparent, and would love to do anything and everything we could to help grow the category. So if you have thoughts and ideas, please share them with me.
Please share them. Yeah, reach out to Mark. What's your Instagram account? Is it? Oh, it's here. Let me take the comment off, and we'll see it. It's at MyCard_post.
Yeah.
Reach out to him. Let him know. Please. Work with him. Like, that's one way that we can help small businesses,
accessible.
Right? It's a way we can help small businesses in the hobby that we want to support serve us better. And right.
And I need to hear from the people that are in that category. Myself, maybe not being the biggest vintage card collector, like I'm not in those Facebook groups, and so I don't have the biggest handle on how everybody operates in that category. So I would love to hear from people that are in it, that understand it really well, like help guide me, because I can't be an expert in every single category and every single genre. So sometimes I need to be able to lean on others to help pull me along instead.
Yeah, absolutely. Orlando says competition drove so much innovation in the 90s. It really did. It really did. Confluence says 90s hockey rocked. I mean, I agree, but so did the other sports. I mean, there's just so much there. It's like a treasure trove of discovery. I'm still finding cards that I've never seen before, sets and inserts I just never saw before. That's crazy to me that this far in, I'm still discovering cards. I hope that never ends. Mike Cam says they make weak efforts to innovate these days. Although I will say the last couple of years, I think the 2020s were more innovative than the 2010s. That's my personal observation. Mark, any thoughts? Agreed?
I think some of the debut patch stuff that Fanatics have been doing, I think some of that's pretty cool. I like the fact that these players are wearing, things in their first ever professional game, and those are making its ways into cards and, becoming those, massive chase cards, of course. But I think some of that's good. I don't know. I mean, obviously everything is driven by like autographs and patches and serial numbers. I mean, there's only so many different ways that you can slice it in parallels. It definitely can be abused. I mean, I definitely can see how it's like, okay, well, there's like 42 different colors of this one card. Like that starts to get a little out of control and a little lazy maybe in some ways. But I think some of the more innovative stuff that we're seeing around debut patches and, more rare chase cards has been pretty cool.
Agree. I think I like an Upper Deck just announced at their CDD conference this week that just passed by that they're doing something very similar with debut patches on cards. And I think it's super, super cool.
Hockey,
thanks,
right?
Mike Cam. Orlando says vintage is pre-1980. I just think that's Orlando's opinion. I don't think that's a fact. I think that that's an opinion, but I love that that's Orlando's opinion. I personally don't agree with it. That's not. I shouldn't say I don't agree with it. We're all entitled to our opinion on it, but there is no strict definition. There's no regulation on this, and so for me, it's not pre-1980. But you guys don't have to give two hoots what I think. Think what you think. Bystander says 80 is typically the last year of vintage, but junk wax doesn't really start until 1987. Okay, so we've got some sort of limbo 7 years there. They're not accounted for. They're not labeled. Perhaps that's the case. The battery says I began collecting vintage when it was still modern. Right. I mean, the true definition of vintage, like in the dictionary, I believe is measured by how many years ago it was. So vintage is a moving target if you really want to come down to some like fact or dictionary definitions, but we're our own hobby and community. We can decide as a group, which we can't because we all have differing opinions, or we can just decide for ourselves. Nothing wrong with that. As Chris C says, it's all arbitrary anyway. Agree. Dan's Vintage just followed Mark on Instagram. Very nice, Dan.
Let's chat, Dan. Hit me.
Very nice. Yeah, have a chat, guys. Have a DM message. Get to know each other. Why not? Chris C says it's funny. In the mid-90s, we all still said 65 tops is vintage. It was 30 years old. Then, today, 1984 tops is over 40 years old, but most consider it modern. I mean, read that again, you guys. That comment right there tells you that, vintage is, it's an era of cards that is poorly labeled with the word vintage. The word vintage is not the right word for it. Then this statement almost makes that a fact. It's like if vintage truly ends at 1980, then vintage is the wrong word for it, I think. I mean, we can use it. Like, who cares? We can use it if we want. It doesn't really matter. But it's an era. It's not a timeline sort of thing, as the term vintage usually is used. And John says, forget calling anything junk wax. The dividing line between modern and vintage makes more sense to be based on production value. 89 Upper Deck feels like the first modern set. I agree. To me, vintage ends when they took gum out of packs. That was and stopped using wax packs and started using foil packs and other things. And we had the advent of, inserts and pack pulled autos and memorabilia. If you want one split, I agree with John. 1989, when Upper Deck put out the hologram, the new card stock, the foil wrappers, there's really nothing different in cards themselves and the way they were produced, manufactured, and distributed from 1979 to 1984. Maybe the volume changed, but there's nothing else really different about them. So I'm not comfortable with 1980 or 81 or 82. If you talk about when Topps lost its baseball license, that's only baseball. That's only one of the sports. So that's very baseball centric. So that's why I don't like that one. For me, it's where John is talking, but I understand that other people don't agree, and nor do they have to. MG says, I feel Topps is stepping up their insert game. That's good. Well, as they should be with all the new licenses. Michael Rader says, I love the Pacific inserts from the late 90s, early 2000s. And Michael Rader, I'm big into those right now. The second half of 2025, my collection grew with a bunch of these cards through a collection I acquired, and now I'm buying patches. I love them. Mark, over to you talking about Pacific cards, those late 90s, early 2000s. Are you interested in those? Are there some of them on MyCardPost?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah. I mean, I love some. I mean, those are some of the players, because that's my era too, right? Where I was growing up, I was big into hockey, and I'm collecting the Pavel Bure's and the Teemu Selanis of the world. Like, those were some of the players that even as I got back into the hobby, like, those were some of the first cards I was chasing for, were some of those 90s cards of those particular players. So yeah, I can see some of them in my mind. Some of those early Pacific cards. Yeah,
they're so creative, so different. And then Jay Hawker says, haggling over terms is one of the most overrated and unnecessary hobby topics. You know what a 1986 Donruss is? It's a 1986 Donruss. It's a totally personal decision on what the 80s cards belong to. Preach, Jay Hawker. I agree. It doesn't really matter at all. So I'm with you. And I think that's a great note to end it on. Now, but Chris C does say the problem is vintage has a literal definition. I think that's what I was getting at before. So we're on the same page there, Chris. Now, we're going to stop that topic. We're going to bring Joe Perot on with us right away, Mark. Mark, yeah, we're gonna keep on going. But before we bring Joe Perot on, guys, I wanna do a shout out for Mr. Minty, new channel sponsor and partner this year, guys. Hear me out here. Grading is expensive. Tying up your time, money, and assets. Get it right with Mr. Minty. Mr. Minty offers a full line of 100% substance-free pre-grading supplies, grade prep, and evaluation services, and concierge drop-off and pickups, PSA submissions, all designed to help collectors save time and money in the expensive grading process. You can meet Mr. Minty in person at the Dallas show, January 16th to 19th. For more, go to MrMinty.com. Save 25% off products using promo code SCL25. Happy collecting and keep it minty. I love saying that. That is fun. That is fun. All right. Thanks for letting me do that, guys. We're gonna we got a few more to get through of those throughout the evening. Mark,
I will say one of my best Pastrnak rookie cards, rare cards, was prepped by Mr. Minty. It's one of my prized possessions in my Pastrnak collections. It was a sparkling diamonds out of 5, and it got PSA 10. So thank you.
I love the sparkling diamonds out of 5. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's a parallel to the rubies, which has its origins in the 90s basketball, baseball, football. Sparkling diamonds out of 5 are amazing. And Upper Deck, owning the Skybox brand now, can still make them, and they do. All right. That's me. There's a better one. All right. Let's bring out Joe Perot. And when I do this, we're going to see what happens to the layout here because I was playing with them. But let's bring him on. Joe, you good to go, buddy? All right. Let's bring out Joe. Okay. Now, hold on. I got to just move my oh, where is it? Hold on a second, guys. Let's see here. I'm going to switch to. There we go. There we go. All right. Hey, hi, Joe. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing reasonably okay. Thanks, Jaylee. Good to see you, Mark.
Nice to see you as well.
Been listening a little bit from the sick bay here in Santa Cruz.
Joe did warn me, everybody, that he's been a little bit under the weather, but he was going to try and jump on with us for about an hour. I'm under the weather too, but just a cough. It's not really in my head so much right now, Joe. Are you feeling okay? You can be able to hang in there for a bit?
Yeah, definitely. I'll muscle through and enjoying the chat.
Nice. Good to have you, buddy. Good to have you. And Joe, Joe's a guy who collects what we call, I don't know, can I still call it vintage? I'm kidding. Joe collects vintage. Joe collects modern. Joe collects ultra modern. I mean, those terms themselves have to move over time too, I would think. Okay, enough of that. Joe collects it all. What's your most recent pickup, Joe? Any cards come in recently? Have you picked up anything in 2026 yet? And then I'm going to say the same question to you as well, Mark.
I can't remember if it was 2026 or not, but the last big card I picked up was a Steph Curry 1-of-1. Majestic is ironically a football release, but Chronicles, as they are wont to do, did a sort of mashup with Majestic. So it's a 1-of-1 platinum Steph Curry card. I think it's 2022, the championship year. So that was a nice way, kind of an off-brand. And that's something I've been thinking about. You know, everybody's into the Prism True Black or, you know, the Optic Gold vinyl, and it's hard not to love those cards. But sometimes, you know, kind of zagging into some of the more lower tier brands, some of the ones that maybe weren't the highlights of the Panini era, but maybe time will be favorable to those. Who knows? And it's a pretty card. I think I sent it to you, Jaylee. I think you liked it.
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you if I like or don't like a card you pick up, no matter who you are. I had a buddy of mine. A buddy of mine sent me a picture the other day. He picked up a Reggie Jackson rookie card, 69 Topps Reggie Jackson rookie in a PSA 8 holder. He goes, "Here, I'm starting to dabble in vintage." He tells me, "What do you think?" I wrote back, I said, "I don't like it. I don't like it for what you had to pay to get it in the 8. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna BS you and just to make you happy. Like I said, ask me if you really care about my opinion. Ask me before you buy it. That way I can at least you know what you're getting into, because I don't want you to go spend a few grand on a card and then your friend in the hobby, myself, is gonna poo-poo on it. Like, I don't want to do that, but I'm not gonna BS you either. So yeah. How about you, Mark? What's a card you picked up recently?
Well, I got the pager we talked about came in the mail today.
Yeah,
One of the other ones at golf, I actually got a Bryson DeChambeau exquisite rookie auto out of 49 and a PSA 8, I think a 10 on the auto. So that's probably one of my nicer recent pickups in the last week or two. And by the way, we have a whole PC section on MyCardPost. So if anyone's curious about my own personal collection, you can go to my page on MyCardPost and you can see all the cards that I currently have in my PC.
And if you want to find his page on MyCardPost, guys, all you have to do is go to the Hobby Spectrum and you can search for Mark, and there he is, Mark Hill. He's a nostalgic, and you can click on that, and there's all of his social links, and there's his MyCardPost link. You click on that, and it's going to take you. There it is, guys, as quick and easy as that. That's what I'm trying to build at the Hobby Spectrum, is this sort of connectivity, this sort of discovery, if you will. So go ahead and check that out. And okay, so the other thing that I wanted to chat about, but before we do that, is this made me laugh, guys, because I thought this was Bob Boozel's comment, and then I saw whose it really was. Midlife Greg says, my wife says I'm a lower tier brand. I could have sworn that's a Bob Boozel branded comment, not a Midlife Greg, but that's hilarious, Greg. Greg, you are a top tier brand, my friend. You are amongst the top tier, absolutely. I want to switch up the topic now. I want to talk about comps, and I want to talk about comps briefly because we have Mark here from MyCardPost, and I wanted to understand a bit about, how do you look at the comps that are coming out of your platform at MyCardPost as being, how are they comparable to those coming off of eBay and other auction sites? How do you view that, and how can people research your comps? So a double-barreled question.
Yeah. Well, to start, we've always, we have our archive, we've had that since day one. So if you're on the MyCardPost website, you can just go to the bottom of the website and you'll see an archive section, and you'll see every single deal, since day one is there, whether it's a single card sale, multi-card sale, trades, auctions, whatever, it's all there. So they're all there. I think the comp conversation, it's always interesting, right? Most people say comps is like what a buyer is willing to pay. MyCardPost, it's a little bit different, because we don't have seller fees, right? So, the only thing between a buyer and a seller is a PayPal goods and services transaction. So, a lot of times I really look at comps more so from a seller's perspective, like focusing on net proceeds, yes, a card could sell on a platform for $300, but every single platform, a seller is going to walk away with a different amount. If it sells for $300 on all these different platforms, all things being equal, the sellers are going to have different net proceeds outcomes. So, you could theoretically, instead of selling that card for $300 on eBay and I don't know, whatever, 16, 17% less is what you get on MyCardPost, you could sell that card for $265 and still walk away with more. So it's just a very interesting dynamic as it relates to, kind of the negotiation between a buyer and a seller. And we'll see people, post, we have a feed where you can post different cards and deals, and we'll see people say like, hey, I have an offer on that other site for $400. Anybody want it over here for $350? They would much rather prefer to sell the card on MyCardPost because they know their net is going to be higher than if they were to sell it for a higher dollar amount somewhere else. It doesn't matter. You walking away with less. So, comps it's really an interesting dynamic.
What you started out saying, you might have seen me moving around there. You said, a lot of people like to say it's only worth what someone will pay. So I mentioned earlier in the episode that my book coming out soon, Pops and Comps, has been received back from the interior designer as of this morning. There's still a few edits to go through, but I'm gonna show you something on the screen here right now. Chapter 72, the "it's only worth what someone will pay" fallacy. Chapter 72 of the book right there, guys. So
gave you a tennis ball. I didn't even realize it.
You didn't even realize you gave me a little lob right there. And I have it zoomed in. I don't want to show what the text of the chapter is, but it's in there. It's in there because I agree. "It's only worth what someone will pay," I think applies in some markets, but not the highly inefficient sports card market. But that's a whole topic. It got a whole chapter in the book. Chrissy says Finkel is Einhorn, and Einhorn is Finkel. That's from Pet Detective, I believe, isn't it? Dan's Vintage says we can't beat Bob Boozel. We can only hope to contain him. And Kinger, welcome to the show, Kinger. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, buddy. Welcome. All right. Okay. So all the talk on comps. What about our friends at Card Ladder? You know, Chris Hoge is going to be joining us here at the top of the hour. Is there, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to, is there any integration yet between, or talk of integration between even your overall database or your Crown auction results with Card Ladder?
I haven't talked to them directly. I think one of the things I've struggled with in the beginning was the uniqueness around MyCardPost. The average deal on MyCardPost has almost 4 cards in it. So, you know, a lot of times it's, you know, comps, other than just single card transactions, comps are always a bit of a challenge to get into some of these other platforms around that, because a lot of times, because you do multi-card deals, right? So people are buying 10, 15, 20 cards for a single dollar amount. So it's impossible to allocate the comp per card in that individual bulk transaction. And we've had, you know, 40,000 plus cards across like 15,000 plus deals. So, you know, the average number of cards is more than one in deals. But with auctions, that has changed a little bit here, where we're seeing a lot more individual sale results in our platform. So it's definitely a possibility to maybe do it now more so than what we were able to do probably like 7 or 8 months ago, where it was a little bit harder. Yeah. And, you know, again, it's interesting. I wonder about what the response would be that scenario we talked about, where a card sells for 300 on eBay and it sells for 260 on MyCardPost. Like, that's just it can be a weird presentation challenge as well, I think.
Well, the interesting thing is that there's no seller fees. So the seller is getting the same amount in many cases, and the buyer is saving money. That's what MyCardPost brings to the hobby. Joe, are you on MyCardPost at all, or yet? Are you familiar with MyCardPost? You must be. We've had Mark on before, but what are your thoughts on subscription-based selling services versus fee-based selling services in the hobby?
I'm not on it, and I'm curious about it, but I think I'm a bit of a creature of habit, and I don't really go on hardly any other platforms besides eBay. The exception just being Fanatics, because that's sort of where my vault is. So I kind of just have it consolidated there. But you know, it sounds like, you know, more and more there are alternatives, and obviously Mark's been at it for a while. So there's nothing really holding me back. There's no you know, snobbery or anything like that. I'm you know, cards are cards. So wherever you can procure them, all the better to have options.
Yeah. I think all it really takes is to find like that first card that you want on that platform, and then you will develop some loyalty to that platform, I believe. So, but then you have to find it, right? You have to find it, and you have to download the app and go through that initial onboarding process. Mark, talk a little bit about onboarding. Like, talk about onboarding both buyers and sellers to MyCardPost.
Yeah, again, MyCardPost is totally free. You know, you create an account, it's free, and you have full access to make offers, buy cards, you know, do multi-card. You could go propose multi-card deals, as we just talked about. You go to a single seller and be like, hey, I want to buy these 20 cards, and make them a single value cash offer on those cards. So, you know, that is the easiest. It's free. It's just literally, you know, just type in your email, your password, and then go fill out your profile, and you're off and running. For a seller, you know, you do have to onboard with PayPal. So like, once you finish completing your profile, I would definitely recommend that people fill out their profile as fully as possible. It's always good to have social media links, all your other marketplace profiles, so that people can do, you know, a little bit more due diligence on you and see, you know, kind of your hobby reputation across all platforms. And then the last piece is literally just, you know, connecting your PayPal account to MyCardPost, and then listing cards. And it's as simple as that. You know, there is a learning curve, right? Because there's different things. We have a feed, we have our PC showcase. You can do fixed price, you can do auctions. There's multi-card deals. You can even open yourself up to buying. We have an opportunity, like at a card show, where you see those "We Are Buying" signs. You can do that on MyCardPost. Turn on that you are buying. Let the community know what you're buying, like what you're interested in, what your budget is, and our community can come to you. And we see that with a lot of our local card shops. They're like, hey, we're short PSA hockey slabs. We're buying heavy today. You know, we're $20,000 budget, and people can go like, hey, I have cards that match your interest. And now they can come to them with their offers and start those negotiations. So negotiations don't have to always be from buyer to seller, they can be in both directions. So
you can you can like solicit for cards that you're looking for as well, similar to what buyers do through the PSA.
Yep.
I don't know what the PSA
Buyback
Buy-
program. Yeah.
what's it called? The PSA
Buyback program, I think, or
something like that. Yeah. That's neat. But on my card post, it's my card post members posing as themselves versus anonymous. But I think on PSA, you don't know who the buyer is. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys in the chat, please. I'd rather not get that wrong. But on my card post, it's coming directly from the other member, not from my card post. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just me. I could go on there. So you'll see users that have a little green dollar icon. Those are users that are open to buying. So that you can go to their page and you can go click like sell your cards to them. And we also have a matchmaker process where you can kind of be matched to sellers who are buying based upon the inventory you have uploaded on MyCardPost. We have that as well. But you can also just go to the feed and just like do a special buying thing for the day. Like, hey, I'm looking for football case hits, paying 85%. I have $5,000 to spend today. And just open yourself up through. It's like a social media feed, kind of.
Sounds like hobby Tinder. I love it.
It's like a card show, right? I tried to build MyCardPost to replicate the experiences that people would have walking into a card show, right? Like, oh, who's buying today? I go find those people. Like, I got cards I want to move. So
yeah, absolutely. Here, okay, you tweaked an idea in my head there. I'm going to ask Joe about it first, and then we can bring it to you because it has to do with with what you just said about replicating that card show experience. So, Joe, you've probably seen at various card shows, including like the West Coast card show. I think there are some services out there that are trying to map out the card show floor with inventory, so people online can know what's at the card show, and people at the card show can say, hey, who's got a 2003 Topps Chrome LeBron James, and the app will show them where to go to get it. Joe, if you're aware of this concept, correct?
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Do you think do you like that for card shows? Do you like it for people not at card shows? What are your thoughts on that? Have you ever used it?
I haven't used it to the specificity of cards themselves. I have used it in relation to where particular vendors are located. I think it was our friends at Gem Mint. We're doing that with the West Coast Card Show for a little bit, and that was handy. Oftentimes in these really large card shows, I might not be able to find someone for a number of hours. It's nice to be able to locate them, and they'll put their own stall number or whatever out there. So it's not like you couldn't track that info down necessarily, but it's handy. It's kind of handy to get your bearings. And I think, especially in the age of TCG, more and more we're kind of, navigating our way through non-sports cards as well. So anything that streamlines the process. I mean, since we're talking about inefficiencies, I'd say knowing locations, that would be efficiencies. And I've definitely had opportunities where, maybe someone's shown something online or in some sort of group, and I know they're going to be at a show. And then that's an opportunity as well to kind of track somebody down and go look directly for, a card that you've been hunting for.
Yeah. And now this is different than what Mark's doing. Mark is trying to, I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're trying to set up MyCardPost to sort of replicate the card show experience, not be in the card show. It's like, we want this to be like you're at a card show as much as you can be when you're looking at your phone. Now, my thoughts on, and I think Ludex is a company that is mapping card shows for people like the National. I believe Ludex, as part of their sponsorship or involvement with the National, there was an app and you could download it and you could just have a map of the show. Not the same thing as mapping out where the cards are. But here's my take, and this is a recent take of mine after listening to, I think it was Dan Bliss from the Front Row Card Show. Didn't mention it here on Sports Cards Live. He is a sponsor of the show. He mentioned it somewhere else, and it really hit home with me. I think he said, I saw him interviewed elsewhere, I believe, and I don't take this as quoting him, but this is what I heard, and I might have heard it wrong, was that, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with those sorts of apps, but, the cards at the card show, there's something to be said for stumbling upon them. And just like you're walking the aisles and you see that card and it's by surprise. Like if going to a card show, to me, And listen, a lot of people, they're on a mission. I want that one card. Where is it? Let me find it. I get it. For people like that, it's a great service. If you like to if you just like shiny things and whatever catches your eye, I'm not going to use those services at all. I don't think I would ever use that service really anyway, unless there's a serious card that I feel is in the room and I need that card. But the other thing, and maybe the more important thing, is that if I'm traveling to a card show and I'm paying to get into that card show, I want to have dibs on the cards in the room. I don't want to lose them to the people that are on the app that are DMing the vendor like maybe a minute before I walk up to the table, and I see that card and I see his arm come for it and take it out of the showcase. I'm like, where's that going? I was going to buy. They go, I just sold it. I just sold it on the app that mapped out my inventory at the card show here. I'm like, come on. I want that card. I came here to find that card, and I can't buy it because someone 3 states away is buying it. Like, to me, I really don't like that. I really don't like that. And so for me, I don't know how supportive I can be for services like that. But like I said at the beginning of that statement, if I really want a card, I might find value in that service. So where do you guys in the chat fall on that? Like these services, not like them? Mark, you're not doing that at MyCardPost, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I actually look at MyCardPost's role as like the opposite. Actually, it's not to replace a card show or like try to, do anything. It's to continue the card show. I look at MyCardPost, like MyCardPost is, you're building your own card shop, or you're building your own vendor table, like at a card show. A card show is going to be, 2, 3, 4 days maybe, but you may find vendors that you like, love their inventory. And these are the vendors that you seek out. Like you said, I'm going to go right to that table because this guy very often has cards that I love and I'm interested in. We built MyCardPost for you to be like, hey, once the show closes on Sunday at 6 p.m., if you want to stay up to date on my fresh inventory, here's everything that's on MyCardPost as well. So I look at it as like kind of continuing the card show experience, and not trying to maybe map out the show floor, but to give you an opportunity from the comfort of your home to continue to shop with that vendor who often has fresh inventory that you're interested in. And, theoretically, you could snag it on MyCardPost like a couple weeks before the show, so that vendor won't have that card at the show. But that's my take, and, kind of what we've tried to build here.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I like the take. I like the continuing the card show take there, especially. I think that's really cool. Okay, so Bob Boozle here says some people need to execute a plan. Some people like to wing it. Absolutely. Yeah. Mike Double V says that is a really rare scenario, Jeremy. I do like the service for people that are out of province or country. Sure. So my compromise I just thought of is turn that on Sunday. Let the paying and traveling customers have first dibs on the inventory instead of people who aren't having to like going to a show is expensive. We talk about it all the time. I heard Greg on Midlife talking about how with the change in venue for the Strongsville show, he's now got to spend more money on the hotel. He's now got to rent a car. The cost to go to the show is going up. Well, if all the cards he wants or the card he wants is not there because someone else snapped it up before he managed to get there that day, like, I think that sucks. As a card show promoter, which I am not, I think it's a disservice to your patrons to offer that service. I really think it might be a service to the vendors because they might enable more sales for them, but I think it's a disservice to the paying customers. And for that reason, I think if I were, an idea that I would brainstorm on further, because we're just like really iterating on this on the spot here, but I would probably say, okay, we can have that app as part of our show, but we're not turning it on till Sunday. Sunday, what's left can be offered to the world, but on Friday, Saturday, whatever day, it's for the people that are paying patrons to come in. That's the deal I would make with any of these apps that offer the service. Personally, I don't know. So David G, though, says many great cards get moved prior to shows even starting. Yeah, but I agree, 100%. They're getting moved to paid vendors in many cases, or VIPs who are paying to get in early for that privilege. Certainly, listen, this is not perfect. We're iterating as we talk. Simple as that. Midlife Greg says, I'm spending $750 to go to the West Coast Card Show before I even walk in the door. Right, Greg? you want the inventory to be there. I'm guessing you'd like the inventory to be there and not being plucked out and sent, to the other side of the country before you get in there. But maybe you don't care. Trees and Cardboard says, aren't the dealers and repackers getting the cards first at shows? I mean, sure, yes, I think they're getting first dibs, but they're also paying to be there. That's a difference. But listen, that's just is what it is. How's that different for the general customer? Right. Well, again, they're paying to be there, Trees and Cardboard. But again, we're just talking about it here. Linda's first says it's like going to a store. You're next in line. The phone rings and the clerk takes care of the person on the phone. That happens at hotels all the time when you're checking into hotels, right? Absolutely. Michael Rader here says, I've been looking for a decently centered 1948 Leaf Chuck Bednarik. Very difficult to find, especially for a fair price. Can I find one at Strongsville and Independence? Probably could, I would think. Okay. I have some other comments I want to get to, but I also did want to talk because Mark and I were talking about, topics and stuff. And one of the things that Mark has some really cool takes on are how, with his Crown auctions, is how to deal with shill bidding. Shill bidding. I mean, Joe, are you still especially when you took a day off work because you're sick? Are you consuming more content? I'm guessing when you're under the weather, you're consuming some extra content. Is shill bidding still a hot topic in the world of hobby content that you're seeing, Joe?
I mean, I think we've downshifted a tiny bit just because, there's a never ending fountain of the hobby gods delivering new drama. But I'll just say this, I've always reckoned shill bidding into my own processes of estimating values and trying to, bid on cards. But I think I'm all the more cognizant of it these days. And, maybe everyone else is too. I don't know. But yeah, it's still out there, Jay Lee. But maybe it's slowed down just a bit.
Fair. Yeah, I think, and that's the way content goes, right? We find there's a hot topic, there's some sort of drama,
news cycle,
drama. Yeah, but I mean, it's important to keep talking about it. I think because it's out there and new people coming in need to know. So, but we're not going to spend a lot of time really. With that said, I want to hear Mark's thoughts because as the steward of a buy, sell, trade platform in our hobby, Mark has thought about this a lot, especially launching the Crown auctions again on MyCardPost. Launch on Thursday, the first ones ever, ending this Sunday, guys. Check them out. But Mark, share with us your thoughts and some of the, I don't know if we can call them solutions, but at least maybe ideas to deal with these.
Yeah, I think, a lot of times these negative topics, the hot topics of the week will pop up. And sometimes the MyCardPost model allows us to lean into solving them in different ways that maybe other platforms can't because, they're fee-based models and whatnot. So, on MyCardPost, number one, like our incentive is not aligned with like the highest possible price because we want to maximize the highest possible fee, right? I don't make any more money if a card sells for $1 million or if a card sells for 99 cents. Like nothing changes for my platform, right? We are strictly monetizing a small fixed monthly subscription and the sellers and buyers get to go to town all day long. But these topics come up and I think about them and I always just try to put my thinking cap on, like what would be some creative ways to solve them? And one of the things I thought is like no one really offers transparency. Now I get why people want like anonymous bidding, like while an auction is happening. You don't want people to like bully somebody or like, you don't want any like bad stuff to happen like during an auction. But why can't we show the full bid history after an auction ends? You don't have to do it like the moment it ends, but maybe 15, 30, 60 minutes after an auction ends, make the full bid history public. That in of itself would be a deterrent for shill bidding type activity because you're basically going to get caught red-handed. And people are very sophisticated and there's a lot of, intelligent hobby collectors out there that would be able to sniff this stuff out and call people out. That's one idea I had, and I put out a content reel about it. I would say overwhelmingly positive, probably like 75% of people were like, that's a good idea. Like we should do that. There was definitely 25% or so that were like, I'm kind of a private person. I don't want that. It might prevent me from bidding on something. So I've not necessarily come to like a final answer on if we're going to do that per se, but that's one idea. And then the other aspect we were thinking about was to start, tracking like bidder trust scores or trust signals. Like, I think like on eBay or something, you could see like if someone has like a 0 rating, right? It's like, okay, well, that's probably not the most ethical account that's out there. But on MyCardPost, we could do a lot of like, hey, this person has a 98.7 bidder trust score, right? Like they bid ethically, they pay for their auctions, they're not having any sort of like cancels after the fact, like they bid something up and then they don't pay. So, those are some of the early ideas that I had to maybe try to address shill bidding, and we're just literally trying to source other ideas from the community. Like if anyone else has ideas, we would love to hear them, because again, our incentives are not, aligned with high prices. So it does afford us the ability to maybe be a little bit more creative than some of the other platforms could be.
Guys, the fact that MyCardPost incentives are not aligned with high prices, that's a big deal right there. That should give people comfort, especially people who are suspect of the rampant shill bidding and the willingness of some platforms not to really, get on it, not to really look into shill bidding amongst their sellers and that sort of thing. I'm not picking on anyone in particular. I know that, eBay is often mentioned as, there's so much shill bidding going on there. Obviously there is, that's no secret, but what can they do about it it's tough. It's a tough situation. Absolutely. One more question for you, Mark, around the vetting of your sellers and your buyers. Is there much of a vetting process that goes on? Because I know that I've seen a lot of commentary recently about like, are these platforms even vetting the people that are on them? So what if any vetting do you do for buyers and sellers? If somebody bids on a card for $10,000, let's say, or makes an offer, well, it's really for I guess if you can't pay for it, you can't really make the offer. But in the auctions, let's even say that you're doing now, how do you know that someone that makes a bid is going to be able to pay for it?
So I'm not going to say I have any sort of control or I'm validating people's like bank accounts or anything like that. Like I don't have the ability to do that. But what we do have, so MyCardPost is very much built around trust first, right? It isn't, trust, reputation, transparency. You have reviews and feedbacks, and we have verified sellers who have met certain criteria that, they're just upstanding sellers of the platform, very trustworthy. They get like a blue check mark. And the fact that you can do a tremendous amount of due diligence on people, you have all their social media links, all their other marketplace profile links. I'm allowing you to put your eBay, your MySlabs, your ComC, your Veriswap on MyCardPost. Like I want buyers or people potentially trying to do business with you to be able to go look at all your other profiles. You can't do that anywhere else. As it relates to bidders, so, we have the ability, if you are a seller and the winning bidder does not pay, you cancel and report them. And if that person gets 3 strikes, then we turn off bidding. They can't bid anymore. So we will restrict that account. And the moment they try to bid, they'll get a pop-up that says you have been restricted from bidding due to unpaid auctions, and like they're done. They're turned off. So, we don't really want that. I can't prevent, nothing is going to be bulletproof. I think that's the biggest part here, is like no platform is going to be 100% perfect, but we definitely can put a lot of things in the platform to help, push against those things and make them less of a problem than they should be. And obviously we have our subscription, right? If you're listing cards, like you're putting a credit card down, you're paying money to be in this community. That is also a very strong signal that you're sending to the community that you want to be someone seen as trustworthy. I want to be here. I want to do deals. I'm paying to be here, right? I'm not just a bunch of cards, scamming people, disappearing, and then just rinsing and repeating that process.
Well, like Bob Boozle said here about 18 minutes ago, he said the subscription fee for sellers shows buy-in, should give buyers some confidence. So that's Bob Boozle was thinking that before you even said it. Sammy Hill said, Jay Lee, please tell me the cover of Pops and Comps is a book of you popping your collar. Yes, it is, Sammy Hill. You nailed it. Chris C says, my dad reads Reader's Digest in the bathroom, but now I will be reading Pops and Comps. Way more interesting. Love it. Love it. Bob Boozle said, I noticed you can click a button to exclude my cards, which would have prevented Patrick Ryan's stain a few months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that, Bob Boozle. And then Chris C here says, back to the buying cards at card show, the app's telling you where they are. He says the dealer is going to sell however they can, but I agree with you, Jeremy. The people that are at the shows should get dibs. Yeah, I mean, what I think Chris C makes a great point, and I agree. The seller is going to sell however they can. You see dealers at shows very often. At the beginning of the show, they take pictures of their showcases and they put them up on Instagram, and they are now selling their cards to people that aren't even at the show. Happens all the time. I've actually done that myself, and I kind of now, think, well, maybe I'll wait till Sunday in the future to do that. The difference here is that the card show promoter is working with this app, I don't even know who does this really, but this app to do it. And they're like allowing it into the show and almost kind of promoting and saying, hey, vendors, if you want to upload your inventory on this app, you might get sales from outside the show, which is like the vendors, the promoter is there to help people sell cards. They're also there to help buyers sell cards. If no buyers show up, there's no card show anymore. Although that might not be true because the vendor-to-vendor action is usually quite heavy at all card shows anyway. But it's when the card show promoter enables it versus just the one-off vendor putting pictures of their showcase up on Instagram or wherever and letting cards be sold. So I think that's pretty. There's a line there. Chicago Bears win, everybody. Congratulations.
Did they really?
They won. It was a comeback. Does that make you sad, Mark Hill?
Well, I was just right before I jumped on. It was like 21-3 or something. So wow, what a comeback!
Yeah, it was. I pulled it up because Chris McGill, who's going to be joining us, he said, "I'm here, but I got to wait till the end of the game." The Bears beat the Packers 31-27.
Wow.
They came back and won it. Jeff's card journey is very, very happy. Yankees fan says crazy game. Speaking of what you're talking about, David G is happy about it. Bears win. We also had Chris, he said, yeah, Josh Adams will be happy. Jeff's card journey. Everybody bear with him, says Confluence Cards. So we have some happy Bears fans right now. Absolutely. Oh, Chris McGill just like left the studio. We'll wait for him to come back and we'll bring him on. But okay, so we've covered all that. The last thing that I really had on my notes that I wanted to talk about with you, Mark, was, and I mean, a lot of content creators have talked about it. I'm curious if Joe is aware of it or not, and what his thoughts are on this too. But this new scam on eBay that I've heard about, where buyers are taking their cards, running them through AI to add damage to them, sending pictures to the seller saying card arrived damaged, refund my money. And I guess it's worked a couple of times. This is going to be a new thing that eBay is going to have to figure out and manage. But then I saw someone else, I think this was on Twitter, someone else made the comment like, you don't have to do that to get a refund on eBay. All you have to do is say that your card didn't arrive, which is horrible. I'm sorry that I even said that out loud because I don't want to give anyone the idea, but like, this is the stuff that goes on in the hobby, in the Wild West. And eBay, there's so much to control. It's got to be difficult for them to get a handle on this. But Mark, you're aware of it. You brought it up. Joe, have you caught wind of this yet? This new AI scam, and any thoughts on that from you, Joe, before we go to Mark?
Yeah, I have caught wind of it. It's unfortunate that people resort to, exploiting whatever's available to basically,
scam,
take advantage of people. Yeah. So my first thought was just, well, I guess I can only sell cards over $250, to go through the eBay authenticity system. I sell a little bit on eBay, not a whole lot, but from time to time. But yeah, I mean, it's some of that's been going on for a while, like you said, Jay Lee. I mean, there's other ways that you can kind of work the system that are unfortunate as well. That's why I always kind of, as best I can, vet any. I do almost all my selling best offer, so that allows me to at least assess user feedback and overall rating, that kind of stuff. Hell, even more and more people have some alignment with their eBay handle and maybe an IG account. So you do your best. But yeah, I heard about it. It's not super surprising. And, it just makes me think, what's next?
Yeah, absolutely. Vintage Card makes a good comment, says it won't work to say the card didn't arrive if tracking says it was delivered, but just because the package was delivered doesn't mean the right card was inside. So unfortunately, I think there is still a workaround there. But again, I'd rather not talk about this anymore because I don't want to give anyone ideas. Quick announcement though, everybody, please. Rage is in the building, everybody. Rage is in the building. I'd also like to shout out CIA Auctions, sponsor partner of the show. Their January auction is now live. Visit collectorinvestorauctions.com to register and bid. Owned by Jeremy, the Texas Snowman, supported heavily by Chris Sewell, baseball card collector, investor, dealer. Both friends of mine, both great guys in the hobby. CIA Auctions, you guys, running auctions just about monthly right now. February auction is going to go live. I believe February is going to be the 5th to the 15th or the 8th to the 18th. January is 8th to 18th. February is going to be the 5th to the 15th. Guys, check out CIA Auctions. You're probably hearing a lot about those guys lately, as you should be. Wonderful people in the hobby. Okay. Mark, your thoughts on the AI issues, and then we're going to do a big guest swap. We're going to bring on Chris and eventually Josh, and we'll say goodnight to you, Mark. But this has been great. But let's get your thoughts on the AI issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's just entirely unethical. Like, first of all, just don't do that. It's just not.
Oh, is
right.
it? Is it unethical?
Unethical.
I'm just kidding.
It's terrible, right? I will say this. This is what the positive spin on this. The one that I saw in particular was that a person posted on Twitter and said, like, man, I'm like super bummed. Like this happened. And like, how is the USPS like so terrible to so poorly handle these package? And it was the hobby community that came in and was like, dude, that's AI. And they came in and provided a lot of the evidence. And eventually that seller got massively called out. So it was like a scam that was about to work. And it was the hobby community that rallied around in a positive way to help this particular seller, get things done appropriately, right? Like they showed them like, look, this is not perfect. The auto is like farther apart and all this stuff. And, so that part was really key. And I think there's some people commenting about some really good ideas, like ask for a video, ask for multiple angles of the card. That's probably the one. I mean, obviously AI is here. There's not a lot we can do about it. But I think the one good thing about AI is that when you ask it to do something, it's never really like a perfect 100% accurate representation of the thing. So if this does happen to you, look very closely, ask for multiple images, a video if you can. And that I think would be a strong deterrent of this. Hopefully this is a lesson for people to be like, I'm not even going to try to do that because it's not going to work. So
yeah, maybe the eBay authenticity program is helpful. Who knows? But I don't know. I think hopefully this just goes away. That's my hope. Mark, this has been great, man. Thanks for coming on. Good luck, continued good luck with MyCardPost. The first ever crown auctions on MyCardPost, guys, started on Thursday, 3-day auctions ending on Sunday. Check it out. It's free to join. It's not free to bid because you got to pay for the cards, but go check it out. The only subscription-based selling service in the hobby, buys, sells, and trades. And there is I think we're calling it an ambassador link in the video description below. So join MyCardPost. Use the link below, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Very nice. Linda's First is wishing you all the best of luck, Mark. And I'm sure the rest of the chat does as well. And yes, Chris C. agreed. These scammers need to be criminally prosecuted. Absolutely. Period. No doubt about it. Chris from Missouri says, Jeremy, keep doing what is right. All the bad stuff makes me sick. I hear you, Chris. Chris from Missouri, everybody. Thank you very much. The mayor of Strongsville. Okay. And another thank you to you. Okay, Mark. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Take care. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great night, everyone. See ya.
Good night, Mark.
Bye.
All right, Joe. Joe, how you holding up, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. I'm
okay.
Yeah.
It's always not. I just like having you here.
We're gonna have some gloating Chicago Bears fans with us very shortly. It might be a little insufferable. I'm gonna have to because the Niners are about to go down. I think tomorrow they're playing the Eagles, and I mean we've been so decimated with injuries and everything, but it is what it is. NFL playoffs. Absolutely.
Well, I hear you. And now, okay. So before we bring on Chris, I just want to do a shout out for the Front Row Card Show channel sponsor, everybody. They're right now, this weekend is their Las Vegas show, 600 tables at the Rio today and tomorrow. You can check out show dates and locations near you at the Front Row Card Show. Here's actually the website. I just want to show you guys because they have 2 shows going on concurrently, San Diego and Tacoma, Washington. Next weekend, January 17th and 18th, 425 tables in San Diego, 400 in Tacoma, Pasadena the week after that, or 2 weeks after that, and Portland, Oregon, February 28th to January 1st. They also do a Phoenix show where I'm going to be in February, and unfortunately, there isn't a show while I will be there. Otherwise, I would definitely be going.
Jaylee, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, front row. That sounds good. What I was curious about, I've had this question because there's a few local shows in the Bay Area, and I'm always wondering, like, I should know this. What's the threshold in terms of numbers of tables that makes a card show not a small show? Let's just say, maybe not necessarily a big show, but like a show that is worth going to in your mind. What's that threshold?
Good question. I'm going to bring Chris Hoge on because he's waiting patiently back there. Chris, you ready? All right. Let's add Chris to the panel here first, Joe. Now, hello, Chris, and welcome.
Hello. Great to be back.
Good to see you.
Great to have you, Mr. Chris Hoge. I don't know if you caught earlier, but I was saying that you might want to consider legally changing your name to Chris Hoge because I don't think people really know or really care about your last name anymore, at least in this hobby space in which you are completely immersed in, both personally and professionally.
I think you're just doing that because you missed the Beatles quote earlier with the Rocky Raccoon song. I don't know if you heard that, Hoge, but somebody was referencing, I think it was Mike Petty, actually.
Yeah,
I may have missed that, but I may formally change the name, but then it's going to need to come with a pronunciation guide because some people still go with Hodge.
Yeah, which is so wrong.
It is tough, but you know, maybe pronunciation is in the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely. Well, as your partner Christina says, can we change it to Hogington? I like that, Chris Hogington.
That's formal. That's when we're being very professional.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So to your question, Joe, and just for the record, Dan's Vintage already put in 100 tables. Linda's first said 2. Actually, you know, as Dan here says with 100, that's the number that came into my mind. Exactly what Dan said, 100 tables. Yeah. I see a lot of 50, 60, 40, 50, 60 table shows. And those are what I would call like just a local monthly show. That's what the local monthly is here. When you get that 100 mark, you're bigger. I think that's worth going to. I mean, even 50 or 60 can be worth going to. It depends on the quality of the inventory. Maybe the question that I'd rather answer, Joe, is what's a show worth traveling for? Maybe, right? Like getting in the car and driving an hour and a half or 2 hours is maybe. And that for me, maybe 100 tables could get me to do that, but for sure 200. For sure 200 for me.
That's funny because the ones in the Bay Area or Santa Clara, there's one in Santa Clara and Burlingame, which is just south of San Francisco. They're advertising like 150. So it's right in between.
Yeah, I think that's worth it. I'd say that's worth it. What do you think, Chris? Table-wise, and it's hard for me to really picture when I go to a show. I don't really know how many tables there are. Front Row Card Show, putting that like the way they put that right there, front and center on their car on each of these shows, sort of little advertisements. That's really cool because now I would know. I would walk into the room and I would know. Oh, this is what 400 tables looks and feels like. So I really like that they did that, and that, you know, I would like to experience that way. What do you think, Hoge?
Yeah, well, I think you kind of nailed it when you said it's all about the quality of the tables. The quantity obviously matters too, but I'll take 10 tables that have, let's say, a selection of 90s cards that I like over 100 tables that don't really have cards that I like. So the quality, and maybe quality is a bit too subjective. The type of cards that the dealers are putting out, matters a ton. I could spend a whole afternoon looking at 20 or 30 tables filled with cards that I really like, and I could be done in an hour if it's 200 tables of cards that just aren't really in my lane. And Christina and I will be going, or at least we have plans of going, to the Front Row Card Show that is in San Diego this upcoming weekend, the 425 table show. So we plan on being there, and maybe we can report back on how day one was a week from today.
That's amazing. I would love to hear that. Yeah, and the thing as well, like when you were saying it comes down to the inventory. Yes, it does. So let me rephrase the question and sorry, Joe, I'm rephrasing your original question, but
there you go.
How many tables do you need there to be at a show for you to go to and you don't know what's going to be there? Like a new show you've never been to, like San Diego Front Row Card Show, 425 tables. You know there's going to be stuff there. I've been to a show in San Diego and there was a ton of 90s cards there, I got to tell you. This was in like 2021 or 22. No, this was, late 21, early 22. Tons of 90s cards. I picked up some beauties myself. The Essential Credentials, Jerry Rice came from there, actually. Beautiful card. But the question might be, like, if you don't know how many, like, how far are you willing to risk traveling to see, like, how many tables does there have to be for you to risk going, and how far are you willing to go? I mean, listen, it's not that interesting of a topic, really, but let's just, I mean, to spend this much time on it, really. But let's just wrap it up with that. Do you want to take a stab at that, Chris? And then we'll go to Joe.
Well, I like what Sammy Hill said here as a really quick interjection. He said pronunciation is in the mouth of the beholder in the English language, where the vowels have many different sounds, but there are other languages where there is a singular correct pronunciation. So that's a great correction there. And otherwise, I largely agree with the point you made. So I'll pass it to Joe so he can maybe put a bow on his topic that he raised.
I mean, yeah, I honestly, like, it is an interesting conundrum, because more and more, I think for me, shows are about meeting up with people that are important to me as friends. It may or may not be the case that I'm going to find anything in a large, or, it really is very idiosyncratic, where I might discover a card that is worth, shelling out for. So yeah, to answer my own question, I think I now am armed with the 150 to 200 table threshold. If there's, either one, I just have an itch that I need to scratch and I need to go get some hobby experience, or, otherwise, if there's people I know there that I care about, then it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to have a drink with them, or, enjoy some conversations with them and catch up in person. And that's probably more important than anything at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the best part of it, actually. Okay, let's now really quick. Bob Boozle says, I need a card show hierarchy. Absolutely. David G says 40 to 80 shows for tables for a local, 150 to 200 for a regional, 400 plus for a national. Hey, that sounds like a good hierarchy to me. Linda's first says, Hoj, we will be expecting a detailed report from the show next week. And Midlife Greg says, Joe, you can go to Ontario, California, and hang out with me and Hoj at the upcoming West Coast Card Show. Very good. Very good. All right. We have Josh Adams, who's entered the room. Before we bring him on, Chris, I want to just ask you, did you come with any topics du jour as you usually do? Anything top of mind for you?
Yeah, I have several. None are home runs, but maybe each one's like a base hit.
Okay. Well, let's bring on Josh. We can.
Sure. I got one question.
Yo,
where's the 49ers hoodie? Where's the Niners hoodie?
They don't want to jinx anything, all right? Because here's the thing, Joe. If the 49ers win tomorrow, then they will go into Chicago to play the Bears next week, and it'll be the clash of my teams. So
wait, I'm getting mixed reports. So we'll talk about playoff matchups later. But I did see your Niners hoodie, and I was happy to see that.
I debuted that with Tony, so that's a great honor that Tony had.
And that was a great show, by the way. Southern Collector, Tony.
which I have not yet watched, but Confluence Sports Card says, Chris Hoge, great show with Tony Southern Collector. I got to go back and watch that one for sure. All right. I'm going to bring on Josh Adams right now, and we'll see what happens with the layout. Let's see if this works.
What's up?
It works. There he is.
Bear down, Chicago Bears. Christopher, how are you? Did you watch the game?
I couldn't believe the game. I delayed. There's the first time I ever delayed joining Sports Cards Live. Even when Luca got traded, I didn't delay coming on Sports Cards Live. I had to because like that. It's the first. I think it's the first Bears playoff win in 15 years. It was unbelievable. I couldn't.
Can I play something really quickly? Does this audio work? Let me hear if this.
Let's go, Chicago Bears.
Let me try, hon. Can you hear?
Sing it, guys.
All right, so make sure it worked. I want to hog the screen here because I do want to hear Chris's base knocks, see what they say. But anyway, hi Joe, hi Jeremy.
That was great.
Hello, Josh. Congratulations.
Hello, Josh. Congratulations. Yes, and I predicted that this you might be a little insufferable tonight, but that's okay. You enjoy it while it lasts.
It's every night, but thank you. Sorry.
Hello, Jacob Dahl. And I like Christina's comment to Greg here. I guess I'll make myself busy while you three hang out. I bet we haven't seen a response yet from Greg on that. I bet that better be coming. Boozle knows that Josh is pumped right now. Linda's first is congratulating you, Josh. Very nice. So is Chris C. Very nice. Well, Jacob Dahl. We'll go back and watch the whole chat. Yes.
She's right.
What, this one here?
Yeah.
Josh is always on.
Except when he's bringing the everything bagel, then we suffer him.
Right, then I'm okay.
I want to invite him to experience this moment as fully as. I mean, a Bears playoff win every 15 years. Josh, don't hold back, man. Don't hold back.
I know. I'm happy. I'm happy. But yeah, it's the first time I've been late to Sports Card Live. So
well, that's okay. We're holding down the fort here nicely. Oh, look at Greg. He comes back with like a victory lap. Sorry, Christina, you're actually the main draw, right? Yes, that's
smart man. He knows who runs things over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where the power truly lies.
Way to go, Greg. You won some points there with Christina. Absolutely. All right. So, Josh, again, congratulations on the Bears. Chris, I mean, you've got Chicago ties, but you've got Purdy ties. So where were you? Who were you rooting for tonight?
Well, definitely Bear. I mean, I'll be rooting for the Bears unequivocally against anybody but the 49ers. And then if it's against the 49ers, it's a win-win. Either I get to be happy with my family or I get to be happy with Joe and all the 49ers guys.
Good. So your win-win next time. Okay, good to know. Josh, I had just said, Chris, any topics you brought? He said no home runs, a couple of base hits, but you actually sent me something a couple of days ago saying this might be a good topic. Do you recall what that was? And would you like to introduce the topic here now?
My mind is totally blank on anything else right now. I will go back and look at my text messages, but I am still on an adrenaline high. So if you want to, Chris can start off and then I'll go after him. All
right, Chris, what do you have for maybe a base hit that might have a chance at a double, but he's got to kind of trot back to first after not quite making it all the way?
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I introduced this topic in the last post to Instagram I made of a card that I picked up, and it got a lot of engagement. So I think the topic resonated with people. And here's the topic. So I posted a card of Christian McCaffrey, who spent the first half of his career with the Carolina Panthers, and then he spent the second half of his career, which is still ongoing, with the San Francisco 49ers. And he still hasn't quite caught up in terms of games played. He still has more Panthers games on his ledger than 49ers games on his ledger. But in a 49ers uniform, he went to the Super Bowl, which he obviously never did with the Panthers. In a 49ers uniform, he won Offensive Player of the Year, which he never did with the Panthers. So the topic is, just think of any PC player that you have, or any player, doesn't even need to be in your PC, that changed teams, whether it was from a trade or they just signed with a different team, or maybe they retired and then they came back. And the question is, what would it take for the team that you identify the player with to change? Like I said that somehow McCaffrey now is more of a 49er to me than a Panther. And not everybody agreed with that. Some people said he's still identifies more closely with the Panthers and the 49ers. So my question is, thinking about situations like that, Gretzky changed teams, Michael Jordan changed teams, nobody associates really him with the Wizards era. So the topic here is, what team do you associate a player with, especially like an iconic player, when they change teams? Like, how do you just, and then more importantly, how do you reason through that? How do you decide which team will ultimately claim that player?
It's a great question. Listen, you are introducing this in many ways because of Christian McCaffrey. So for you, because I want to take a stab at this too, but I'd like to hear, if I may, Chris, where do you fall on this as far as Christian McCaffrey goes? Michael Jordan, I know you're a collector of Michael Jordan as well as Jokic. You don't have the issue with Jokic. Jordan kind of gets a bye on this because the Wizard days are late in the career. Collectors of Jordan don't really care. Some will collect Wizards cards, some won't. It's all about the Bulls cards for the most part, but Wizards cards are cool too. But with a guy like McCaffrey, where success came in the second half with the second team, it's more interesting. So you pose the question, would you mind letting us know where you fall on this as far as McCaffrey goes?
Yeah, I lean 49ers. I think he's given me as a fan a few more moments in a 49ers uniform, whether it was the playoff run of 2023 or, he's had several really big seasons now where, like, for example, this year was a really big year for him. He led the 49ers in snaps, in games played, in touches, in receiving yards and receptions, in rushing yards and rushing attempts, in rushing touchdowns and receiving touchdowns. Like, he was the fulcrum of the 49ers offense this year. So this is a really iconic year for him. And they got 12 wins and they made it to the playoffs. So, like, these have been really nice seasons for McCaffrey because the 49ers era just wasn't quite as successful. It wasn't loaded with these playoff appearances. It wasn't loaded with these like dominant winning seasons. So the success is a factor. And then McCaffrey has something else kind of going on too, which is that his college career was spent at Stanford. So he already had a connection to the Northern California area that dates back to his college days. So there was a sort of a return, a homecoming when he came to the 49ers. And then there's the connection that his dad played for Kyle Shanahan's dad, and now he plays for Kyle Shanahan. And there's just lots of these little connections and things that just sort of form a neat, tidy picture of him sort of becoming identifiable as a 49er. And then the next part of this topic, though, is that once we answer that part, and I look forward to hearing how you guys break that down, then how does that spill over into collecting? Does that now, like, I have a lot of McCaffrey rookie cards. They're all in Panthers uniforms, and I have some McCaffrey cards in 49ers uniforms too. And sort of how does that impact the way I collect him and think about those cards?
Yeah. I think this is going to be so much different for all of us and everyone in the chat, and for certain players, because as you're speaking and I'm looking at the chat, I'm seeing comments there. I'm taking my own notes. I'm thinking of a card that Joe owns. I don't know if you still have it, Joe, your Jose Canseco Rubies, where he's not pictured with the A's, but he's with Tampa, I believe.
Good.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, like these occur all along. So let's I'll go last on this one. Let's go to Joe. Like, where do you fall? And maybe lead off if you want with your Canseco card if you want. You can't lead off with Steph Curry. He's always been a warrior, but yeah, where do you fall, Joe, on this topic?
Well, first of all, it's I'm guessing that Hoj may have also been influenced by a really wonderful post. I can't remember the guy's handle, but it's someone who put out a plethora of really nice CMC Christian McCaffrey cards, and they were equally balanced between sort of Panthers and Niners. Cool post. And Hoj, you wrote quite a bit there that I also found very edifying. And I guess the poster was more of a Niner fan, but then felt like, I want to express my collecting love for McCaffrey. I don't want to feel confined to just the red and gold. So anyway, that's I guess just an on-ramp for me to think about this. I mean, I've I've collected, as you know, Chris, some CMC. I'm lucky enough to pick off a few decent ones, and I got a couple Panther ones, but more fully Niners. For me, the player that comes up most significantly in this regard is Reggie Jackson. I grew up an A's fan, as you already mentioned, Jay Lee, and so I always kind of think about the Kelly green and gold with Reggie, but I have to acknowledge that his more important, probably historical moments occurred, I believe, in the 1977 World Series, where he hit 3 home runs in a row and helped, not the A's, but the New York Yankees, the probably one of the greatest sports franchises ever, if not the most important sports franchise ever. And even with my own A's bias, I have to kind of acknowledge that he probably achieved more fame and star power as a Yankee than he did winning 3 consecutive World Series with the Oakland Athletics. And, the A's had a pretty balanced team. They had Catfish Hunter. They, had Vita Blue. They had Joe Rudy and Campy Campaneris. I mean, they had a lot of other, what we might consider semi-stars, but, Reggie was the straw that stirred the drink even in Oakland. But so I guess this is a long way of answering the question. I think, to me, the biggest moments usually are in postseason, and they're usually in the markets and or the situations that the most people are paying attention. And there was just more people watching baseball in 1977 than they were in 1972. I mean, it was more of a national moment where everybody was paying attention to Reggie hitting not 1, not 2, but 3 home runs in a row, and the Bronx Zoo and all of that. So I would associate it with, and I think this works for CMC as well, Christian McCaffrey, because they haven't won a Super Bowl, and I don't see that moment happening this year, but they have had some very good runs, getting close, sniffing that. And so that's where the money is, right? That's the money ball, the money shot, the money, everything on the line, playoffs, and more fans watching, more important moments. To me, that's kind of what amplifies a player's brand.
Important moments, the winning. I think that's what I take away from a lot of that. Reggie Jackson, a great call out. Joe, you weren't alone. Dan made a similar comment earlier on as well. How about you, Josh Adams? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the most apparent example would be Shohei Ohtani, right? I mean, drafted by the Angels, but no one really thinks of him as an angel because he had all of his success with the Dodgers. And it doesn't really happen in football that often, right? Because there aren't that many trades, and really players stay with usually 1 team or 2 teams. So I think McCaffrey's kind of like an outlier, right? Because I can't think of anyone else. Maybe, I mean, someone mentioned Montana on the Chiefs, but he had no real success there, So I would have to say, yeah, definitely. I mean, McCaffrey is probably the one that stands out.
And I'd love to come back to this question after you go, Jay Lee, just from a sense of the collector point. I mean, I was kind of talking about being a sports fan primarily in that moment, but then you have to start asking yourself, well, how do I represent that in my collecting, journey, and or my own way of presenting myself as a collector? So that's the secondary question that I think that's involved in this.
And that's how I'm thinking about it. And I made some notes, and I've got 29 comments that I'm going to read out after. So maybe I'll go through my stuff. I'll read 29 comments. We'll try and get through them quickly, and then we'll come back to you, Joe, and you can get into that. So I collect Shaquille O'Neal, but I only collect him with the Lakers. I'm not interested in collecting, and that's not for the main reason is just putting up some constraints, just some boundaries to control myself more than anything else. It just makes it simple, and it adds a little bit of uniformity to my Shaquille O'Neal collection. Ken Griffey Jr., another player who I like to collect a few cards of, only interested in Mariners cards. I remember him mostly with the Mariners, not the Cincinnati Reds. So Ken Griffey Jr. to me is a Mariner, and my collection will reflect that. Wayne Gretzky, I'll take his cards on any team, all-star teams, whatever. Not too interested in Legends games and stuff like that. But Gretzky being Gretzky, an all-time GOAT, if not like a top 3 GOAT of sports, I will take Gretzky cards in my collection in any uniform. Now, here's where I think it gets interesting, and I'd like to hear people's thoughts on this. I've never lived in Los Angeles where Shaq played, nor Seattle where Griffey played, nor anywhere that Wayne Gretzky has played. However, I grew up in Winnipeg, small, central Canadian town. It's about 800,000 people. We had an NHL team my whole life growing up, and I grew up as a fan of, first in the late 70s when I was a young kid, Bobby Hull. And so I want to collect Bobby Hull cards in Winnipeg uniform. I don't really care for his cards in other teams. Although Chicago Blackhawks, for you, Josh Adams, I'm willing to, especially vintage, I'm happy, maybe a couple of others. But when I got older, in the 80s, we had Dale Howard-Chuck, who was like a real superstar for our team. And to this day, I collect his cards. He's probably my biggest PC player-wise in my whole collection. Only Winnipeg Jets, with one exception, for one card that's an exquisite, came out within the cup by Upper Deck. They're beautiful. It's with Buffalo Sabres. I'm willing to have some Dale Howard-Chuck Sabres cards because they're beautiful and because they're exquisite. I mean, gosh, exquisite's awesome. But I'm not interested in any of his Flyers cards or his Buffalo or other Buffalo Sabres cards. I want Winnipeg Jets cards. But then you get Teemu Selanne, and Howard-Chuck played in Winnipeg for 8 or 9 years before he moved on. Teemu Selanne, my all-time favorite professional athlete, joined the team in the 92-93 season and was gone by the 94-5 season, I believe. We only had him in Winnipeg for like 2.5 seasons. So I'm limited in what I can collect of his. And remember, my favorite professional athlete of all time, which stems from experiences I had going to games and watching him play in my hometown. We were always an underdog team. And so he was the greatest thing to ever happen to the city. So when he moved on, I developed a collectorship for him. And now I will collect his cards on any team he's been in if I like the cards, because they're a card of the player whom I developed a real affinity for because of the experiences he gave me. And I was genuinely happy because it was my team. So when I think about Shaq and Griffey, who I collect, and Gretzky, who I collect, and Crosby, who's only ever been with one team, Steve Yzerman, I collect a lot of players, but if they're from my team, I'm willing to stretch to, if it's a player from my team who I don't have a lot of options with, I'm willing to drift outside of just my team. But if it's not from my city or my team, but it's like my player, it then depends. In some cases, I will collect their cards from multiple teams like Gretzky, and others, I'm going to stick to one team, and maybe and it's going to be the team they won the most with or the most known for. And it might be just to save me some money and not have like reduce the scope of cards I want in my collection for various reasons. So I think it comes down, I think there's these kinds of factors at play. And that's where I get to. I wrote down Shohei as well. Joe, you called that one out. That's a huge one.
That was Josh.
Sorry, Josh. I don't have any Shohei cards in my collection, but I can tell you, if I ever had one, it's going to be with the Dodgers. It's not going to be with the Angels. It's going to be with the Dodgers. And then Canseco, I called that one out as well because, I know that card of yours, Joe. So that's how I approach it as far as being a sports fan. If I love a player, and love is a weird word because I don't love these as human beings. I don't love them. I don't know who they are as people. But if I love what they represent and this and that, you know how it goes. I'm going to be happy for them if they win, as long as they're not winning against my team or a team that I cheer for. So that's where I fall on it. Maybe before we go to the comments, and oh my gosh, I see there's 42 I haven't even looked at yet. I hope it's just you guys talking to each other. But let's go back to you, Joe. And while you do that, I'm going to be distracted and kind of skim through these comments, okay?
Sounds good. Yeah. So One way to maybe break this question down is, what part team collector and what part player collector are you in any given conversation? And for me, it changes from player to player. I wrote down a few more. So like, obviously Kevin Durant was a Warrior. He's got he's got some valuable Warriors cards, but probably, is in his rookie world. I mean, hell, he's in a Seattle Supersonics jersey in his rookie card. So, but I liked Durant and I collected Durant a little bit before he even came to the Warriors. So I kind of inherited almost in advance of him being, winning 2 MVPs, taking at least one away from Steph. It's an interesting relationship there. I've collected LeBron at different times. I don't really like the Laker LeBron personally because he competes in the same division as the Warriors. I'm okay with the Heat. I kind of appreciated LeBron with Wade, although that was a bit of a stacked team. So it gets very granular for me, like where I want it represented. I'd sort of prefer LeBron in a Cleveland uniform if and when I get a LeBron card from time to time. One player that I don't have a particular attachment to any team because I came to him late and more as a outsider to the whole era is Lionel Messi. I've got no, Paris, sure. They're much cheaper than the Barca cards. People seem to like him in a Barcelona uniform, or an Argentina uniform. I do like the Argentina. I just like the blue. I like the idea of the national team, but I've got a couple, Paris Saint-Germain because nobody seems to value those as high, at least in the soccer market. The people that really know soccer, that's not his jam. Ricky, got to be in an A's uniform. Ricky's got to be in Oakland A's uniform for me, Ricky Henderson. So yeah, these all go. Mullen, unfortunately, in the case of Chris Mullen, because I can't afford a red PMG, much less a green. I don't know if there's ever been a green PMG of Mullen that's sold, probably one or two. But the cards that I'm most interested in happen to have him in a Pacers uniform, like the Star Rubies. And, 98, it's just at the moment when he, made the transition. So in the case of Mullen, I make an exception, even though I think very much of him as a Warrior and it's a team collecting goal. Because of the strength of the card issue, I will sort of step over the aisle to the Indiana Pacers and dabble in that. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of just kind of acknowledging that there's sometimes there's team collecting sensibilities and sometimes there's pure player collecting sensibilities.
Well said, man. And okay, Josh.
Yeah, I could agree with Joe on that. I collect Frank Thomas cards and I won't touch them if it's in like Toronto or Oakland. It's like White Sox only because that's just how I know him, growing up. So yeah, also I thought one other person was Carlton Fisk, right? He played more years for the White Sox, but he's really only known for the home run in the 76 series. So, that's again based on how, the moments that attach to that player. So got that.
All right. Well, let's see what the chat has to say. I agree with you, Joe. I mean, there's I agree with you. And Mike Double V in the chat is building our criteria here. So we'll get as we go. Here's that's been saying Confluence card. Sports cards. Johnny Unitas is a Charger. Name I think the toughest. Tell me you can hear me. Am I here? Okay. I'm a Sammy Hill. I'm a Cavs fan. LeBron will always be a Cavalier to me. Laura says Albert Pujols always a Cardinal. Midlife Greg. They will be remembered where they were the biggest star. I think that's a part of it. Petty says Gil Hodges and Duke Snider are Dodgers, not Mets. Rage says, what about Babe Ruth? I think he'll be remembered mostly as a Yankee versus a Red Sox. Mike Petty says Greg Maddux is a Dodger, not a Brave, although I kind of remember him mostly with the Braves. Mike Petty says Freddie Freeman is a Dodger, not a Brave. So does Chris C. said the same thing. Oilers in my delay here. I'm sorry, guys. You got me? How about now? Can you guys see and hear me? Okay. I see Gretzky as an Oiler, a Ranger, and a King, but I like him in Oilers the best. Dan's vintage. Reggie Jackson is a Yankee to me, and he played more years in Oakland than Anaheim. Chris C said Matt Stafford more a Ram than a Lion, and yes, I'm biased. Bob Boozle, Michael Jordan is my favorite Birmingham Baron. Linda's first calls out Gordie Howe played for the Hartford Whalers late in his career to come back and really play with his kids, which is funny to say. Mike Petty, Juan Marichal is a Dodger, not a Giant. Bob Boozle, Kobe will always be a Charlotte Hornet, who he never played for. Christy, Nolan Ryan is a Ranger, despite the fact he played for 4 teams. His epic milestone came in that uniform. I remember it's the Astros uniform for me. Mike Petty, Gretzky is an LA King. Linda's first. This topic's at best an infield hit. Rage says Ohtani is definitely a Dodger, not an Angel. Sundin says, I'm collecting a set of quad patch cards where every card features one player with patches from 4 different teams they played for. I love the bird's eye view it gives to the player's career. I think that's really cool as well. Michael Rader says, Brett Favre's rookie card is with the Atlanta Falcons. It sure is. Midlife Greg, great topic. Larry Gitlin, Lou Brock from the Cubs became a superstar Cardinal Hall of Famer. Bob Boozle says, Petty gave me a good idea, a binder of biggest crybabies to refs. And here we go. Mike Double V, for any player determining their team is a combo of 1, the team that drafted him, 2, length of time with the team, and 3, the team where he had the most success. Could be different for each player, and there are more to come for that list. Bob Boozle, I will not collect LeBron James cards with hair. I identify him as a bald man trying to cover it up. That's so weak. We don't need to cover it up, right, Hoj? He thumbs up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mike Double V says, after listening to Joe, I would add number 4. Did they play for a historic team? Example, Yankees, Cowboys, original 6 in hockey. Michael Rader says, what about Peyton Manning? Set records with the Broncos. To me, he's a Colt, personally. Kinger says, Jeremy, did you discuss the new Upper Deck announcement? NHL noted first game jersey autos following the baseball trend is nice for hockey. Yes, Upper Deck is doing similar to what Fanatics is doing for baseball, basketball, and eventually football as far as debut patches. Confluence Card says Timu only as a Jet. Fair. Mike Double V adds another one. Home if it's your hometown team. Vintage Oddball says Jumbo Joe Thornton is a Shark, not a Boston Bruin. Although I remember him with the Bruins, still vintage, and I do collect some of his Bruins cards. But I recently picked up a flight of Sharks cards. Stuke says Anthony Edwards just became the 3rd youngest player to get 10,000 points behind LeBron and Durant. That's pretty cool. Similarly, Macklin Celebrini is on pace to have the most points for a sophomore player. That's crazy. Okay. Rage says, what about Ray Allen? To me, he's a Sonic. I don't know about you guys. To me, I see him as a Sonic. Confluence Sports Cards. It's all, this is a great play on words. It's always a messy with an eye situation with what team to choose. Well done, Confluence Sports Cards. Okay. There's been about 40 more messages since we went through all those, but I don't know that I'm going to go through any more of those on this topic. But Chris, Joe, go ahead, Joe.
Just one more thing. I when I find myself kind of in my own crosshairs, if you will, because there's a player who I appreciate, but I don't like the team they play for, what I will sometimes do is do an all-star search and look for them in an all-star jersey. So, for instance, KD and Kobe at various moments, I've looked for all-star cards.
Or Olympics when it comes to basketball too, right? There's an option there as well. Yeah, I hear that for sure. Somebody asked, I don't know if I can find the comment again. I did see it, but who do you associate? Oh, right here. Armin Saturian says, what team do you associate Nolan Ryan with? Like so many. The Mets, his early years. But for me, it's that Astros jersey, that vintage Astros jersey, but the Rangers as well. Okay, what do you got to say, Josh?
I'm going to say Nolan Ryan's a Ranger. He hit all of his hallmark records with 5,000 strikeouts and the seventh no-hitter and the unfortunate incident with Robin Ventura in a Rangers uniform. So,
That was fun. I remember the day that happened, watching the highlights of that.
Yeah, it was great.
That was so not the Astros. Am I the only one that just loves that jersey? I think it's his 82 Topps card. Actually, I have it in Peachy where he's featured as an Astro. Like those
It's a great
Houston Astros.
jersey. It's a great jersey.
Yeah.
That's funny because I grant all of what you were saying. I mean, Rangers, Astros, you can go Mets. For me, because my kind of grandeur days of baseball, he's a California Angel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just depends where you are, who you are, and when, and how old you are, even at this point, right? It all
Mid 70s. That was the California Angels.
Right, Chris. Look at all these tangents we're going off on this. And by the way, dude, you lit up the chat, like 150 comments on this topic alone, because everybody can relate. Everyone has an opinion. We all have our players. This was not a single, not even an infield. What was it? An infield hit? Like this is a triple, dude. Seriously.
Under promise and over deliver.
There you go. Michael Rader here said, I respect players who played their whole careers with one team, even though they could have gone elsewhere to make more money. George Brett and Robin Yount would be great examples. And wouldn't you know it, their rookie cards both come out of 75 Topps and are epic in design. Linda's first says, unfortunate, the Robin Ventura, Nolan Ryan incident. That was epic. I think we all agree. Right, Josh? It was epic, wasn't it? He's nodding. He's on mute. He's nodding.
It was memorable for many different reasons.
It was memorable. For sure. All right. Okay. Okay. Josh, did you go to your text messages and remind yourself what that topic was?
Okay. So that was a story that Brett had and it's gone. I don't remember what it said.
Oh, Brett McGrath from Stacking Slabs.
Yeah.
I know what it was. I remember. Yeah. And
All
I think, I think I even may have inferred it on the thumbnail. I think it had to do with hobby versus industry. Was that it?
Yeah. I thought it was great. It was awesome. And then he had a good, I don't listen to a lot of content. So like he had a very good, you okay?
I'm just fighting a cough here. I'm trying to mute myself when I cough. I can't get it every time, but
he had a good episode about that. It was good.
So I haven't been going on my walks while I've been sick, and I've been missing content because of that. So I haven't listened to it yet. But did you listen to it? Why don't you share the crux of Brett's episode? And again, shout out Brett from Stacking Slabs, among my favorite podcasts out there. What was it? What were some of the points, if you don't mind, Joe and Josh? Without giving it all away, we want people to go listen to Brett's podcast as well, but we can give our take on it as well.
I mean, most of it was like, a lot of collectors resent people who come into this hobby just to make a couple bucks off the hobby. They feel like it's taken away from the hobby nature of it. But there's room for everybody. And without people like that, like auction houses or the flipper boys at shows, like I've found cards for my collection from people like that. So it's shouldn't begrudge someone for doing what they like. Maybe that's what they like in this hobby, is hustling and buying and selling. So yeah, it's got to be my pledge to be more open-minded in 2026.
Oh, look at you with big goals. I love it. One of my thoughts on that is that the hobby, it is an ecosystem, and let's take breakers and repackers as an example. As much distaste as there is for them amongst segments of our hobby, they are a key part of the ecosystem. And I was having a discussion the other day, I forget who it was with, but it must have been on one of it was either with Cajun Cardboard on his channel or with Alex from Collectors MD, a couple of guest spots I've had recently. And by the way, I'll be on Professor Sports Cards on Wednesday. Wednesday night, I'll be on with Jason, Professor Sports Cards. But one of my thoughts is we're an ecosystem, breakers, repackers. It's kind of a conundrum we're in, guys, when it comes to that part of the hobby, because there's so much angst towards breakers. But without breakers, the cards we buy on the secondary market, modern, ultra modern cards, may not get out there. And then what happens to the hobby? And I don't know, because, you say, then cost comes down and there's more out there for everybody else. Yeah, but then can Fanatics and Upper Deck and Panini pay their royalties? Is there enough royalty to get to the leagues? And what are the repercussions of that? Like it's more than just, we speak with our wallets, we don't buy. Well, yes, you can do that. but you're not going to stop the gamblers or the people who collect through breaks from breaking. It's going to happen. So it's an ecosystem. And I think if any of these cogs in the machine were to just go away, I think we'd be in for a surprise. I'm not going to pretend to say, here's what's going to happen, but I don't know that we would all like it. And when I think about what I'm doing and what we're doing with the hobby spectrum, and you look at the hobby, I'll just pull it up really quick here. You look at the hobby spectrum and the 7 archetypes that we've identified and really described, like the tycoon, driven to pursue market opportunity, approaches cards as vehicles for generating financial gain. And in doing so, they are taking cards from show to show. Think about every dealer that you deal with. Every card dealer that you deal with at a card show, these guys are flipping cards. LCSs, your favorite LCS, they're flippers, guys. Now they're professional. They pay rent. They're not like, we talk about the difference between flippers and dealers, but dealers flip cards. So do some collectors. I buy collections simply to sell at card shows. I have some flipper in me. I have some dealer in me. Card show dealing. Many collectors move into and start setting up at card shows. But then we have the purists, many of them who will say, I've never sold a card in my life. That's great. But you've bought cards, and you can't buy cards without people selling them. So we're an ecosystem. Repackers are a part of it now. Repackers are a big reason why card shows are as big as they are now, for better or for worse. So anyway, that's just those are my initial thoughts on it. Before we do the round table, just gonna do a couple of comments to add on it. Pretend these are my comments, guys, and then we'll go around and get all your guys' comments on the topic as well. Bob Boozle, where are gated communities within this ecosystem? Bob, love your comments. Hoops Hobby Hangout, I agree, room for both. I just traded for the biggest card in my Halliburton PC from an Instagram dealer. I may have never seen it available if it wasn't for the business of Instagram selling, which is dealing, which is flipping, which is buying and selling. David Pastreba says, where does this idea that breakers are the reason that product makes it to market? Well, because the idea is that people enter breaks, they receive cards, they don't want those cards, so they put them into the market so they can get into more breaks. It is part of the cycle, but they're not the only reason. We also have people going to LCSs, buying boxes and selling those cards they don't want on the secondary market. So I'd say that's where the idea comes from, David. But what are you thinking, David? I'm just curious why you're asking the question. Stuke says, I doubt any card I've ever bought has been from a dealer. Fair. Very fair. Bob, so Stukes has never bought a card show. Oh, from a breaker. Sorry, I thought it said dealer. My bad. Bob Boozle, eBay buyers that cancel sales are the bums. Absolutely. Hoops Hobby says, good point, David. Probably from the idea probably comes from the increased cost of wax, but I'm sure that breaking is a part of what caused the increase. Absolutely. Bob Boozle says breakers are the worms that burrow into organized matter like poop that help the soil. You're great, Bob Boozle. Foulball says, Jeremy, you are wrong. We didn't buy cards before breaking and flippers. Absolutely, Jeremy. Foulball. We didn't. Before breaking and flippers, we got all our cards at card shows from dealers and flippers. Those are still dealers and flippers, Jeremy. LCSs are dealers and flippers as well. I've been to card shops where I give them my cards for 50 cents on the dollar. They went right into their showcase. That's flipping. So if you've Foulball, if you've ever bought a card at a card show or at an LCS, you have bought off of a flipper. You just have. You can't really say otherwise on that. And then David does respond, says, I've been going to card shows for decades. Where did all that inventory come from before breakers? Right, from people busting vending cases and people busting cases of Topps, O-Pee-Chee, Donruss, Fleer, opening up to sell them. Flippers, literally flippers. But breaking is the new way the cards are distributed. It really is. Some of the greater we do not like it. But guys, you can fight it all you want. You can complain about it all you want. It's not going to change a thing. I am so convinced right now, for better or for worse, that breaking is here to stay. And especially if Fanatics has anything to do with it, they have a whole live selling platform just for that. And they have all the licenses except hockey and a couple others. So it's here to stay. And they are creating products specifically where the format of the products are custom for breakers to make it easier for them to do their jobs. So, I mean, it's just the way it is, guys. It's just the way it is. But dealers and flippers have been around forever, and breakers are now a key part, and it's not going to turn around. So, okay. With all that said, who wants to go first with some thoughts on this? Joe, Chris, or Josh? I mean, Josh, you raised the issue. You thought it was interesting. Do you want to come in and give your thoughts to kick us off here after myself?
Well, also, this is like kind of been more of a topic since COVID, right? How many like pretty rare or ghost cards have you seen pop up on Instagram or in social media over the past 5 years that before 2019, like you didn't see, like for years? And I'm talking like 5, 10, 15 years. All of a sudden, these people have a great knack for like digging this stuff out of the woodwork. Part of it is the prices are getting astronomically high, but they also have a good job of finding them. I found two of probably the biggest cards in my collection from people like that. So I can't complain too much, but you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear you, Joe.
If the question is, is the hobby an ecosystem? I mean, yeah, it's an ecosystem. I mean, how could it not be an ecosystem? If the question is, are we all dependent on breakers for our hobby experience? I mean, no, but cards come from packs or, I mean, unless you're going back into vending box days, pre whatever, I don't know, 80s, you're getting it in some way or another. Each card has a journey from a pack, a box, or whatever the means of release. And so there's transactions involved, and there's, sometimes there's profits, sometimes there are losses. If we're asking the philosophical question, and, if you're not in the breaking world, you might look at the breaking world and go, wow, people are gambling. That's not collecting. That's not what I do. So if you're asking the question, do you want to be associated with breaking, and still have access to cards that are emerging in the current moment, or even in the last, 3 to 5 years, you either have to pay the exorbitant prices yourselves, or be what I used to call myself back in the early 2000s I was a bottom feeder. I'd go to the dollar boxes and look through and see what found their way, base Kobe's, base LeBron's, occasionally a Canseco Ruby got thrown in there and ended up in my PC. So we may not like the idea of having a somewhat, I don't want to say parasitic, but a relationship to people who are spending more money and in many cases losing their behinds. Nobody's going to feel particularly great about that. And if we could wave a magic wand and have the people that have more of a gambling propensity and change them into collectors, we might do that. But the reality is it's just sort of flowed the way it has. And some of us find ourselves on this side of the aisle. Some of us find ourselves on, more of a gambling risk-taking side of the aisle. I don't, as long as people aren't ruining their families or doing ill will in society, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I think you'd be foolish to sort of say like the hobby's not an ecosystem. Of course it's an ecosystem.
Absolutely. Okay. Chris, do you want to go, or do you want me to do some comments first? Because I got comments and things there.
Feel free to do some comments, and then you can circle back to me. I do have a take. I have a strong take.
Okay, so let's save your strong take for the end. Okay. David said, I know I'm not going to change anything, and I agree, but I don't think breaking is good for the hobby. It's good for the bottom line of the industry. It might not be good for the hobby. I somewhat agree. David then says the LCS wasn't fractionalizing randomness to charge someone a jumbo price for a single team in a case break. Yeah, that's a business model, absolutely. But I used to go to the LCS in the late 90s, very late 90s, early 2000s, and split a case of Topps cards with the actual owner. He'd say, "Hey, you want to split a case with me?" I'd say, "Sure," and we split a case. That was fractionalizing the case, but there was no upcharge for a team or anything like that. The other thing, the thing about like the premium for a break spot, these guys are doing work. They are actually laborers and they are doing the work. So selling a box out of an LCS doesn't take much effort. Breaking a box is time, it's technology, it's organization, it's shipping, it's all these different things, more supplies, all these things come into play. They have to charge more. Again, I'm not a breaker customer. I haven't entered a group break when they used to be called group breaks. Remember that, guys? I don't even think it's called group breaks anymore. I was just called breaking. I haven't entered a group break in well over 10 years. Chuck says, gentlemen, card market ecosystem, you need balance. Out of balance, one will find issues with supply and the economy of the market. Yes, balance is definitely helpful. Linda's first says singles have evolved from dealers breaking up cases and collector to collector deals to currently breakers on the internet. Sorry, that not I need some punctuation in that one, Michael. Hobby Champ says selling packs out of a box is fractionalization. It is. Foul Ball says flippers and dealers are two different things, two different words. Sure, but there's definite crossover. There's an overlap. Absolutely. He goes on to say, ask AI if they are different. If you ask AI if they are different, AI will tell you that they are different. Iconic Al says, breakers are a symptom of hot money mania. They will ebb when the economy falls off and the hobby inevitably cools. I had a great conversation about the hobby cycle ebbing and flowing, and if this time is any different with a serious hobby executive just yesterday. And both of us are just not sure if this time is different or not. You just don't know. Hobby Champ says dealers are simply trying to make profit selling cards just like a flipper. The words are different, but that's just semantics. Yeah, I agree. There's overlap. We've on this show, we've talked about how to discern between a flipper and a dealer. And one of the things, and I even have definitions for them in Pops and Comps. Some of you will disagree. That's okay. But some of it just comes down to, a dealer pays rent. A flipper is transient, those sorts of things. Okay. I'm going to stop there. Great comments, everybody. Thank you. Let's go to Chris, who I'm sure is going to give us a take that we're all going to say, oh yeah, that makes sense. All right, Chris, with the high expectations, buddy, here. Let's see what you got.
Let's set that bar real high. Okay.
Yes, I did.
So sort of to frame the topic, hobby versus industry, Brett's episode, which was great. And he didn't really go into this side of it. I think he really strives to cover and serve both communities, the industry side, the entrepreneurial side, the business side on the one hand, and the collector, dealer, the market participant on the other side. And he does serve both communities, and I think this show does a nice job of serving both communities. A lot of content does. But here's where I'm coming from as a consumer of content, as a participant in this space. I'm generally not interested in the industry side, really at all. I think that there are some content creators, including the aforementioned, who do such a nice job of covering it that it keeps my interest. And that if I see a certain content creator weighing in on something industry related, I'll tune in and I'll check it out because I know that they're going to cover it in an interesting way. They're going to have an interesting slant. And, sometimes the industry does impact the collector experience directly or indirectly. So at some point, there is sort of a need even for a collector to have to think about the industry side of things. Like, for example, the sequence of questions, I think, from David, where he was sort of asking how do breakers impact cards getting to collectors, essentially. So there, so that sort of becomes tangentially related to industry. But in general, I'm not interested. And I'll use a metaphor to sort of make the point concrete, which is suppose that instead of cards, we were all guys who were interested in cars like Mercedes and BMWs and Porsches and so forth. And so to me, it's sort of like asking a car enthusiast, do you like BMWs? And do you like how the engine works and the mechanics of it and how they're used in racing and the new models and new styles? Or do you like to talk about car dealerships? And do you like to talk about the commission rates that the salesman makes? And do you like to talk about the overhead fees that it costs to import these cars from Germany? And to me, that's the metaphor that kind of helps illustrate where I'm at. I'm the card enthusiast. I want to talk about all the aspects of the cards. And sometimes that does require thinking about how a manufacturer packages and distributes cards or how many parallels they make. Sometimes it requires thinking about how grading standards are applied to cards and market prices. And sometimes it does require thinking about how auction houses are facilitating and bringing things to market. But by and large, it's all tangential, or it's all circling around the idea of being an enthusiast about cards. In industry is at best peripheral to that. So that's my take as a consumer of content, as a member of this space, just one member of this space, but as a member of this space, I'm just so much more drawn to card enthusiasm, and I'm not so drawn to industry enthusiasm.
Yeah, you kind of brought it back, I think, to what maybe Brett's episode was really getting at, and we in the chat and ourselves took it to the whole breaker, repacker, some of the functions within the industry and the hobby, and what is who and what functions are supplying cards to the hobby, and how are they doing that. So great takes there, Chris. I would say. Okay, thank you for that. Now, Foul Ball said, great response to what I said. I said, if you ask AI if flippers are this, he said, if they're the, anyway, I forget how he said it, but now he says, ask AI if they are different. So I did something different than that. I asked AI, I said, well, I did first say, are card dealers and flippers the same thing? They said, short answer, no. People mix them up, but they're not the same thing. I didn't read the whole, everything it laid out. But then I asked it, is there overlap? And if yes, what is it? What is the overlap? It says, yes, there is overlap, and it's real. It's specific. The overlap, there's two categories: dealers who operate like flippers and flippers who operate like dealers. So I'm not going to read this all to you. You guys can do this yourself. But if you want to ask AI, are dealers and flippers the same thing? Are car dealers and flippers different? And is there any commonality between them? You're going to get sort of like positive answer. Well, you're going to get the answers to all of that as AI sees it. So, and whether whether you want to bet that yourself is up to you. But Chris, to what you said, about you don't care as much about the industry, you care more about the hobby, about the cards themselves. And I like the analogy to dealerships. You made me laugh about, do I want to talk about cars, or do I want to talk about the commissions that the sales guy made? I mean, that almost makes you shake your head here, but we are different. The sports card hobby is a very unique industry. Why? Why is it different from the car, the automobile industry, the tech industry, the fashion industry, really any other industry? I think it's because we have emotional attachment to these items. They become a part of our identities within our community. We show the cards, we tell stories about them. There are car collectors who do the same thing. I get it. But the general person who drives a car for strict utility, maybe they want certain features, a certain engine, but they're probably not going to car shows, and they're not joining car groups and watching car videos on YouTube. The hobby is different because we collect these things. We have emotional attachment, nostalgia, all of these things. So it's different. And because we care so much about them, more than we care about our cars in many cases, we, in a way, have to think about and consider the industry that supplies us with these items and these collectibles that we love so dearly. Chris says he cares more about the cars in the industry, yet he works in the industry. And I'm not calling you out, Chris, because I know you're a collector first. You just also happen to work in the industry, which is a wonderful place to be. right? So it's that's how unique the hobby is that you can have Chris's take and still work in the industry, right? So, and even Josh loves the card. He's a purist. I think he's an 11 or a 12 on the hobby spectrum, yet he has a business in the hobby as well. It doesn't phase him. It doesn't shake him. He's still a purist. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I don't even know 90% what goes on in this hobby industry stuff. Like, yeah.
Well, that's apparent to me, the chat and the panelists. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so fair enough.
I'm kidding, because you always say, you know, that's what endears us to you in many ways. Go ahead, Joe.
I think it's in literary theory and sort of the epics of literary theory, moving from, you know, structuralists, post-structuralists. I think it was the new critics who really made the point that in order to understand a work's merit, you have to have some perspective. You have to have some context. You can't just out of the gates know whether someone is, you know, William Faulkner or, you know, Toni Morrison. You have to have some kind of way to evaluate what their relative worth is in a greater context, and that takes a little time. So I think in as it relates to cards, a lot of collectors, you know, there's collectors who are very interested in the rookie card chase, right? Immediately out of the box, let me find my Jaden Daniels, let me find my Drake May, and that's exciting to them. It's exciting to me. But over time, I've learned that I don't do so well in that market. So my experience as a collector has led me to be a little bit more cautious and take some time and try and develop a little bit more of a perspective of where something fits in the overall oeuvre or suite, I think is the word that I've heard used, in the suite of someone's holdings. And it's not always a rookie card, right? It might be a rookie card, but it's not always a rookie card. So that to me is one of the ways in which the breakdown happens between what I would consider collectors who really have like their eye on the ball, so to speak, kind of like really thinking through, what do I want to bring into my collection that's going to hold up over time and that I'm going to feel good about because I understand its relative merits and worth, versus people that are going for the shiny new thing, the exciting thing, the thing that, you know, Caleb Williams tonight, I didn't see the game because I don't have Prime, but, you know, apparently led the Chicago Bears football team to their first playoff win in 15 years. There's probably some pretty excited people with Caleb Williams rookie cards right now. I'm not one of them. But you know, I'm pretty excited that I can be thinking about, you know, what Chris Mullen card I might have from 1997 that is, you know, maybe a pop 3 with, you know, a Star Ruby's count number of 50. So there's just different collecting styles that I think are going to play into whether or not you give a rip about the current state of the industry and how cards are getting disseminated versus your appreciation of, you know, what you're bringing into your collection.
Absolutely. One of the things I really liked the most that you said there, when you said, you know, cards are going to hold up over time and that you're going to feel good about. And that's like, you know, I can't help now but think about where someone who thinks that way would fall on the hobby spectrum. You're going to be kind of middle. You're not going to be quite on the full purist end, not quite on the full tycoon operator end, because you want to feel good about them as well as know that they're going to hold up over time. When we say hold up over time, we're talking about the value, I think, is going to hold up over time. So that I think, Joe, that is that kind of where you were? Yeah. And that's, you know, that's where you're kind of in that hybrid precisionist, maybe builder section of the middle parts of the spectrum, because you do care somewhat about the value. You don't want your cards to go down in value. So that piece made a lot of sense to me. As did everything you said, to be honest. And I liked a couple of the comments, people saying, you know, here we go. So we're now, school is in session. Hobby Champ says, did you see Chris Sewell's video where he spent nearly $180 on retail product and pulled $13 worth of cards? I did not watch the whole thing. I saw the first few minutes of it. And this is not a break. He didn't do this at a breaker. He bought the cards from a seller of unopened wax, whether it's a retailer or an LCS, because you can buy retail at the LCS nowadays as well. So he bought it. I don't know where he got it, whether it was at Walmart or at an LCS, but that's a similar sort of result that you would get in a group break. You could have bought a single spot for $180. He might have done better buying a single spot for $180 than he did buying wax himself that was not fractionalized. So it's opening new product is a gamble. Any which way you look at it, it is. I don't know that anyone can convince me otherwise. And yeah, sure, you're going to get something at the end of the day. It's not win or lose. Although it kind of is. You might leave with cards, but don't tell me that's not gambling. He lost $163, $167 in value. Does he care? I don't know. I didn't see the end of the video. But most people nowadays, many people nowadays do care about losing money upon opening through any channel, breaking or wax or packs, whatever it is, however they're buying it, they care. And that comes down to the price of wax. Should those 4 boxes or 3, I think it was 3 boxes he opened, should they have cost him $13 so he could have got his 13 in value? Josh shakes his head and says, no. The answer is obviously no, because it was $13. There's no more hobby. There's no more ultra modern hobby because you can't produce it for that. So never mind paying the licensing fees and your facility fees and your labor. You just can't do it. So, okay, I'll stop there for now and go to BEWS says he's a content creator. It's a business expense. Sure, but that's not the point of it, though. I'm sure you get that, because if you don't, you'd be missing the whole point. But I'm sure you get that, BW. Okay, Iconic Al says it's a better return than booze or cigarettes. Yeah, fair enough. We have any responses to any of this from the panel? Chris, you just came off mute. I'll go to you.
Yeah, I think that's such a great concept for a video. And it reminds me of one thing that I think is a great rite of passage for somebody who's new to the hobby and wanting to learn the ropes and just sort of dive in. My recommendation would be go to your LCS, buy a box of a new product in a sport that you like, and open that box, and then take out every card, open every pack, and account for every card. So quite literally, figure out what every card roughly is worth that you just pulled out. List them all for sale on eBay. Don't keep any of it. Sell every single card that you pull so that you learn how the buying and selling process works. You become acquainted with the marketplace experience. You become acquainted with all the different styles of buyers that you'll encounter and the level of quality and shipping and speed and so forth and customer service that's expected. It'll be like a crash course in sort of how the whole dynamic of the online market works. You'll figure out very quickly. Now that's just anecdotal, but you can extrapolate and look at other breaks of the product online and sort of get a sense of really what the expected value of a given box of this product is. So you can quickly find out, how these boxes end up. And then I've always found when I open a box that, before I even open it, I want to go look up the checklist, and I want to look up what the odds are, or I want to look up what my chances are of getting different things. And all of a sudden I learn what all the different parallels are. If one comes out, I'm like, what is this? And then I go look at the checklist, and then I can tell you that boxes that I've opened 5, 6, or 7 years ago, even more, I have such a fresh imprint of its checklist and its aesthetic and how it feels and what all the different cards are. I have such a fresh imprint of it in my mind still to this day, so much fresher than if I were just kind of abstractly looking at the checklist on a website. So like having the expectation, like, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I could possibly get, that it creates a much stronger connection for me to those cards. So I've always felt like, and then you have the whole process too of like, how do you handle the cards? You have to get your sleeves and figure out which one should go into sleeves, which one should go into top loaders, which ones maybe should be saved for grading, and then sell those after they get them back. And I've always felt like that's a great experience. And then after the whole process is done, and it could take weeks, it could take months, but after the whole process is done, take stock of the whole thing. and see what were my profits or what were my losses? Where were the pressure points? What did I enjoy? What didn't I enjoy? How much did I learn about this product? How did that knowledge that I gained of the product help me become a better collector when I'm looking for singles online after the fact? So on and so on. And did it teach me that I like this product? And generally speaking, when I have a product in hand, I always tend to like it more. But maybe it doesn't work out that way. I just feel like there's so much to be learned from that little experiment that all of us can run, but especially newcomers to the hobby.
One of the things that I learned from opening product was that it was a bad idea for me, and that I could take that same money and actually get cards that I want to own versus cards I don't want to own. I'm going to run through some quick comments here. Hobby Champ says, I always say if the industry disappeared tomorrow, there's 150 years of cards to go around for everybody, and cards would still end up being produced somehow, some way. I completely agree with that first part. I mean, if the industry disappeared and cards would still be produced somehow, I don't know. But if all the card companies stop making cards, 150 years of cards to go around, my hobby will continue until the day that I die if that were to happen. He says the hobby supersedes the industry. I agree. GC says, I counter that with he paid $167 for the entertainment opening the packs. Okay. Linda's first says, what about the entertainment value in breaking the boxes himself? Okay. Well, what I say to those two comments, guys, is BS. That's what I say to those two comments. I say B freaking S. And here's why I say that. At least for me, and probably for many people. I think that's what what people tell themselves to rationalize the money that they just burned. The same way Mike Petty lit a cigar with a $100 bill tonight. It was great entertainment. I think that is what you tell yourselves to rationalize the money that you just burned and wasted. Think about it this way. You go to the bar one night, or you're at home, you get shit-faced. You get hammered. You're having a blast. You're chatting up the women. Maybe it's the men. You're high-fiving with your buddies. You're shooting some pool. You're watching sports. You're having a grand old time. Great. That's opening the packs. The next morning, you wake up. You're in trouble with your wife or your husband. You are hungover. You have to call in sick to work because you're a dumbass and you went out on a Monday night and did this. And you're regretting the night before. You don't see your kids off to school. You're regretting getting completely hammered at the bar the night before. You're regretting it. The same thing could be said for doing other things putting other things into your system. That's kind of why. But I had a great time. I had a great night with the fellas, with the ladies. Had a great night. I think that $167 of entertainment, I don't think it's worth it, guys. Now, myself, when I used to open packs, every pack I'm open and getting cards I don't want, I didn't feel like I was being entertained. I was looking for cards I wanted to get. It was an adrenaline rush. Each pack you open is an adrenaline rush because you're hoping for something you want or hoping for something of value. And each pack is a disappointment that doesn't give you value. At least me. If you are just totally happy buying a box of cards for $300 and getting to see pictures of these players so you can watch on highlights on TV anyway, or unless you're building a set, Stuke said you're building a set. If you're building a set, that's great. But you can buy that same set online or from a dealer, probably from all the base cards that were left behind by their customers for probably $30 or $80. You don't have to spend $300 times however many boxes that is, 5 boxes to get a complete set. You don't have to spend $1,500 to get a set to put in your pages every year. You can probably get that for even $100, $150. And you're going to have another $1,200 left over to buy other cards that you want to buy or go get hammered at the bar. You can regret that instead. Now at least you got to spend time with your fellas. So I'm just saying, yeah, entertainment. We hear that all the time. The entertainment value. Okay, guys. Like be honest with yourselves, please. Now, breakers are providing, and I'm not pro breaker, guys, but breakers are somewhat providing a community, some fun. You're not getting total, just like going to the bar is. You're having community, but are you going to regret spending $3,000 with a breaker the next morning? Are you going to regret spending $3,000 on wax from Walmart or your LCS the next morning if you don't get anything you want? You just might. You just might. So those are my thoughts on that. And but listen, I'm speaking for myself. I'm speaking for. I know I have said, I call BS, and I do call BS on many people who say, "Oh, but I had fun opening the packs." Okay, and if you're doing it with your kid, and your kid's hoping for hits and not getting them, you're conditioning them to be a gambler. But you're having fun with your kid, and you're building memories. All the power to you. All the power to you. All right, Joe.
A quick story. I live a few miles from a Target, and feeling. I think I saw Neo open some hangers and hit a VJ Edgecomb, so I was kind of excited for him. And hangers are bangers. That's kind of the thing with the new Topps Chrome. So I thought I'd go up to Target and see if the hangers came in. Went up there. They had gotten a new shipment. My Target seems to deliver Friday mornings. I got there like Friday afternoon. Maybe the hangers were there, maybe they weren't, but I saw some, there was some Mosaic football megas. There was some Phoenix blasters. There was a lot of absolute. There was no Topps Chrome and in any form. So I passed. I went and bought some socks instead. And but I agree with Chris. It is fun from time to time to get cards in your hand and go through a process of just, looking at a configuration. But where I land on that is I'll do it in a modest way. I'll do it with a mega or a couple hangers or something that's not going to leave me feeling completely, strung out, to use your analogy, hung over, Jay Lee, like something within reason, maybe 80, 120, somewhere in that range, where I'm not going like, what happened to my $700 on a hobby box? Or, and I think that's a real issue right now in the hobby. I mean, I hear so much content right now about people's frustrations with price points, frustrations with, not getting their value back. It seems to, even Chris Sewell is doing a retail opening. I mean, that to me it's sort of like making the rounds right now in the hobby. And, good job, Neo. He happened to hit on the hangers, but he struck out on his hobby box, but he was able to make it up. And, that puts you into that cycle of like, oh, I gotta open a little more to maybe somehow get it, get the ledger to work out. But, I agree with you. I'm in the middle here a little bit. It's not that I open a lot, but I do think there's something still fun and gratifying if you can find a decent price point for yourself. You get your penny sleevers, you get your top loaders, you put out your little mat, and you go through whatever little card opening ritual. But they haven't made it easy. The retail, the powers that be haven't made it easy to have that kind of experience anymore. And so more often than not, I buy socks.
Joe, I mean, I think you're right. Like, if you want to open up product for fun and you in moderation and you go in knowing that money is just gone, fine. I still think you're at the end of the day. And Joe, I think you will regret it. You would wish you didn't do it. I remember when you were buying. I remember when you'd call me and you'd like, yeah, I just bought some of these Panini, whatever they were, on the Dutch auctions. You bought a couple boxes of first off the line something, and you were not happy with yourself the next day, and you were like, do I open it? Do I not open it? It all came down to the risk reward, the value. It wasn't about the fun of opening it. It was about like, I'm scared to open it. You were literally scared to open the stuff. And that's the way it is. The more expensive, the higher the risk. If you are made of money, who cares? Then it can be fun. It can be totally fun because you can literally, like Mike Petty did, roll a cigar with $100 bill and not worry about it because you've got a million $100 bills in the back room or whatever it is.
The funny thing is, Jay Lee, that was like in 2020, 2021, 2020. And the return on those, I mean, in many instances, I was upset, but I was still getting 50 or 60% return. Now the returns.
Yeah.
you know,
Fair.
which is not, you know, it's not great. And as you mentioned, I was not happy about that. You know, it's like, okay, I'll sell my Justin Herbert Blue Ice rookie and make up for the other, you know, 2 boxes that hit nothing. But now it sounds like, I mean, with, you know, Chris Sewell's video in mind, it's like 5%, 10% of return on investment.
It's going to be a range. There's going to be a range. You can hit the lottery, and that's why people keep on doing it. You can get lucky, and that's why people keep going back for more, because they get hits. You know, you want to buy a box, whatever it is. Do what you want to do. I don't really care that much. I got to look out for me and my family and my friends. Like that. That's it. But if and I want the hobby to last. I don't want to lose people because they're losing all their money. So I'll look out for me, myself, my family, and my friends, which includes the hobby. So, yeah, but I mean, if I just don't know that anyone can honestly say that they just spent a couple $100 on a box, got nothing they want and nothing of value, and that they're just happy as a pig in poop. I mean, I think there's always going to be some like, I should have grabbed the other box, should have grabbed the box beneath it. Maybe I shouldn't have bought it at all, you know? So, but again, that's me. I'm doing some projecting here. And I often say we shouldn't be projecting, but hey, I'm human as well. So I'm going to entitle myself to that a little bit. Dan says, so breaking is getting 8% on investment while also exposing yourself to potential fraud. Where's the fraud, Dan? I'm just curious. I'm just not thinking. Maybe it would come to me. Bob Ouzle just completed his ranking of his top 50 pairs of socks. Reef the Sea owns some Batman. I missed the part where socks became a part of the discussion. I must have been distracted, or I didn't see it in the chat. I apologize to that. But Hobby Champ says, to be fair, Chris Sewell did it for science. He said he never buys unopened product and probably never will again. Yeah, he did it as an experiment. It was an experiment and for content. And the results are out there. And he'll never do it again because an 8% return is just not worth it. But it's funny too, because even the fact that we're using the word return in the whole thing, like how many people are buying boxes of cards where they don't care if they get zero value? Stooks probably, maybe Foul Ball. These guys are purists. They just love the cards, and they maybe have their budget for the year. And if they spend it and they spend their, let's say $1,000 a year, and the value they get back is $50, they're okay. They're okay with that, because that $950, that $1,000 was part of the breaking budget for the year, and they set themselves up for it. So I'm sure there's people out there that are okay with it, but I think the majority of people who say, oh, but I had so much fun opening it, I call BS on 80% of those people that have said that. And I might be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. I'd hope to be wrong, to be honest. So any responses, any more comments? Josh?
All right, two questions, 2 points. First one is a comment, then a question. So every year at the National, I've got a group of friends who go out for dinner like Thursday night, and we always buy an old box of like some sort of like vintage 80s football, baseball. It's like maybe $150, $200. It's a blast because you open all the packs, you remember all these players, and have a great time. It is totally worth the entertainment value of those cards. We have our sleeves in case there's like, I don't know, the 83 Donruss or 84 Topps card that we want, but. And then each guy gets their favorite team players. It's great. I have all the cards from every time we've done one. It's like 12 years worth of stuff. It's great memories. Second, how much is a box? Like, how much does Topps Chrome cost? Like for the new it's just basketball, right? It's not baseball. Just how much does that cost?
How much, Joe?
Well, the hangers, retail 20, going for 40. The megas retail like 70, 80. And maybe going a touch over that. Blasters, I mean, yeah, Topps has taken about a 20% jump over what Panini was doing with the megas and the blasters. So, and then the hobby boxes, I guess, depending on jumbo or just regular old hobby, like somewhere in the $700 to $1,000 realm.
Gee, yeah, that's insane. $700 for a hobby box of. Yeah, it's crazy.
Josh, when you and your buddies are opening the vintage, how much are you each spending on that?
I mean, like the box might be like $200, and we all chip.
And how many of you are splitting it?
It's like maybe 8 of us.
Okay, so you're in for what's that, $25 each?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the cost of a single drink at Gibson's or sort of, yeah, like that's, there are going to be exceptions to my position on it for sure. You know, you spend $200 between 8 guys. Oh, well, you're a group break. You're a breaker now, Josh Adam. You guys are group breaking, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're
Oh,
starting
boy.
our platform next week.
Oh boy, big issues there.
Boomer breakers. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll buy the odd pack of, like, you know, from my LCS. If I see like a pack of A-Team from the 80s, you know, I'll buy a pack of A-Team for $1.
Yeah.
I'll put 40-year-old gum in my mouth for fun. You know, that's it. That's what I'll break. But I've had some hits in my life in like live breaks, like at the LCS during trade night. Oh, take a team for $10 sort of thing. I've had some good hits. I've lost some money, and that's like supporting the store more than anything else.
Right.
But anytime that I've gone to an LCS or entered a group break, like a traditional group break, and dumped off hundreds or thousands of dollars, I felt horrible at the end. Driving home, felt like same feelings I would have from the days when I'd go to the casino and sit at the blackjack table, lose $800,000, and just feel like a piece of crap on my way home in the next day, and wish I didn't go. Like the magnitude of the feeling of a loss is so much more than the magnitude of the feeling of a win. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to word that, but
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good for now. Chris, we haven't heard from you. I think you're the last one we've heard from. Anything? I mean, you did put a nice bow on your thoughts earlier, but if you have any further comments, love to hear them.
No further comments. I think there's a lot of wisdom in listening to seasoned hobby veterans such as yourself, such as Mike Petty, such as the people in the chat, such as Joe and Josh, when they sort of express an opinion or a point of view about buying wax in any of the formats, you know, and it does merit serious consideration about who is buying these products at these prices, and what's their expectation, and is it reflecting something true about how they feel and value these things, or is it just that that's the price and they say, well, whatever, I guess that's what I have to pay, and they sort of throw the money down. And it's there's sometimes an assumption that, like, if somebody buys something for a certain price, that is the right price because they paid it, so that verifies that it's the right price. But I don't know about that. I think sometimes people are just uncertain, and they just they find themselves in a store or in a breaking room, and they're just like, well, I guess this is what it's going for. It's what everybody else is paying. So I don't know. These are interesting questions, and needless to say, I don't open too much wax. So
yeah, same here. And you know, the beginning, what you said made me think about you know, that's why group breaks are as popular as they are, because you can hone in on the teams or the players you want. If it's a player pick or a team pick, you can actually limit your exposure. That's I think a pro in the world of group breaking. Yeah, you're going to pay a premium, like was mentioned a little while ago, to get your team. You're going to pay a premium because the breaker needs their profit along with covering their cost and covering the cost of inventory. But at least instead of spending 800, you might only spend 60. You might get nothing, but if you get, and now you know that it's better I spend 60 and get nothing than spend 800 and get cards of players I don't even want in my collection. And, you know, most of the time I'm not going to get anything of value anyway. So, wow, I don't even know how we got down this whole thread here, guys. But this was crazy. This has been a crazy last hour or so here on the show. Absolutely. Well,
it is a tiny. I just want to put it out there, like, because I didn't find any, and I bought socks. That was what I bought instead of getting any retail, Jeremy. That's the socks reference. But
okay.
But I like.
You need socks,
I like
Joe. You don't regret buying your socks because you need them.
I don't. I'm very happy. It's going to be a good experience having fresh socks. But the thing, you know, just one last time, I just want to acknowledge that with a modest foray into whatever the latest thing is, getting your hands on them as a collector it's sort of reconnaissance. It's a reconnaissance mission for me, because I might come across an insert, and maybe it's a base insert, right? But maybe I notice that I really like the look and kind of style of this insert, and maybe it's going to inspire me to go on eBay and look for maybe a numbered parallel, because I appreciate it much more in hand than I could. The direct experience has some facility, and I think that's a little bit of what Hoj was saying earlier. There's no substitute for having that experience and kind of understanding configuration, understanding where your excitement might land. Even if you don't get something, it's just to me, the question is, how much are you putting out there? And if I can, the sad thing for me is blasters used to be $20. Now they're upwards of 50, and megas used to be 40, and now they're upwards of 80 or 90. So that's the price jump to me that has made that whole situation harder. But I do like touching and feeling cards, even the base ones, because they give me information about the set. I can more readily appreciate the photography, what's going on in the back, how the centering is, what's happening with some of the condition issues. And that gives me some information for going after maybe some of the bigger fish, like a Curry gold card that, probably couldn't afford. But
Joe, don't take this the wrong way, but it sounds like you're making excuses to me, and I'll tell you why. Configuration. What most people do nowadays is they watch group breakers on YouTube or wherever to learn about the configuration. So you don't have to spend money to learn the configuration. Look and feel, though, that's an important one. I have some financial advice for you. If you have an LCS or a card show within reach, go there. Go there and look at the cards and the look and feel. You don't have to spend $800 or $80 on a hanger or a hobby box for the look and feel. You can or go to your friend's house and look and feel their cards, or try to go to a 3D view somewhere. Yeah, if you don't have an LCS, or buy a cheap nobody online, have it sent to you and look at it that way. You don't have to. You can get that for probably $10 plus shipping. That way, you don't have to spend if you want to do it that way. I'm just saying there are cheaper ways, and hangers and bangers are one thing, but an $800 hobby box, if you're buying that just for configuration and look and feel, I mean, I got some good financial advice for you there. I know I came out a little aggressive there, but
well, no, the thing is, I'm not actually buying any of them. I'm buying socks instead. But that is the argument. That is the argument for doing it, or the occasional moment I do it. But it has gotten even more ridiculous than it was previously in terms of the price point. So doesn't seem to be happening. But I'd buy a hanger if I saw a $20 hanger in the wild. I'd buy 5 or 6 of them and see what happens.
Yeah, and go for it, right? You get nothing, you're okay. You get nothing of value, you're fine, because you knew what you were getting yourself into. I personally, I know what I'm getting myself into, and hence I will go to the LCS. I am lucky to have one close to me, and I know many people are not, and that is a luxury to have an LCS. Literally, it's an 8-minute drive for me. So I can go there and I can look at the cards and what he does is he opens a box of everything pretty much that you can now go. So his customers can do that. He actually provides that service. So I want to say a quick hello to Jeremy Filippelli, Mojo Sports. If you guys are still here, hello and thank you for joining. Hobby Champ says, I don't think I've ever regretted a mail day. Same here. Hobby Champ says, I think the potential fraud. Yeah, he clued me in on what Dan was talking about, the fraud. Thank you for that. Hobby Champs makes a lot of sense. Dan's Vintage says, it's a sad day for the hobby that it takes a truth teller like Chris Sewell to display the obvious truth before people realize boxes and breaking are terrible losing propositions. I mean, it is, that's where we're at though, right? People, some people know it. They don't care. They're gambling. And then this versus Jeremy ain't having it, right? Right. Go ahead, Chris.
I think Dan's right on a number of levels there. And the formulation that I was looking for, and then it sort of occurred to me listening to you guys talk further, is the expected value of the box. That, if we're talking about maybe an $800 hobby box, And we can roughly estimate that the expected value of any given box is maybe $100 or something, and that means taking into account the fact that, let's say, there's $100,000 super rare chase that you could possibly hit from that box, but your odds of hitting it are 1 in a million. Then you discount the $100,000 value by the 1 in a million odds, or probably much worse odds actually. But you sort of do that for every possible card that you can get, sum it all up, and you get an expected value for what that box is worth. I think if we ever did that math, we would find that the expected value of a box is usually going to be quite a bit lower than what the box actually costs. And so then the question is, why does anybody buy these boxes at that price? That's the question.
Yeah, it's like Chris here says some of us still enjoy the rip. I think you could interchange the word rip with gamble, and that's fine. Go ahead, rip, gamble, whatever it is to you. Another thing about, as the cost of wax has gone up, guys, the value of cards has gone up maybe at the same pace. I mean, that's just like RPAs back in the 2000s, early 2010s. If they were worth $100 then or $300 then, they're worth $1,000 or $3,000 now. The cost of wax has gone up because along with the cost of the cards. So the expected value, as Chris mentions, I don't think it's changed very much over the years overall. Yes, the cost of wax has gone up, but the value of your hits have gone up, kind of in concert with it in many cases. Iconic Al says the best way to get $1 million ripping wax, buy 5 million in wax, and that's a good return. I would have to think right there as well. So, okay. Yeah, Hobby Champs. I used to buy retail periodically, just a couple here and there, but now I don't because the prices are outrageous for what you can actually get. And it's not, now the value of the hits have gone up, as well, but they're still as hard to get as they were. And I think what's going to happen now, because the hobby is growing, there are more people buying packs, things like Tom Brady, things like Ken Golden show on Netflix are going to bring people into this hobby. And they are going to go to LCSs that they haven't gone when they haven't gone in the past, or at least since they were younger, sort of thing. And they're going to take their kids and they're going to start opening packs of cards because they're seeing $1 million valuations. So what's going to happen though is that I think we're going to see it's going to be harder. We're going to see more parallels and more inserts. And now will the values on the secondary market keep up? I don't know. As long as these new people are buying on the secondary market as well as on the primary market. I've heard that Topps, I think Joe told me Topps Chrome basketball is watered down. Of course it is, guys. Of course it's watered down. They have to supply more to meet the 10xing of the hobby. So it has to water down. Anyway, let's do a final thought around the table, guys. If we have any final comments, we can do that. But I'm good. I'm good for the night. This was a lot of fun. Thanks you three, chat, Mark Hill, who joined us earlier from MyCardPost as well. Any final, guys? Give me a nod if you have anything else to say. Yeah, and I mean even goodbye and good night is fine. So let's start with Joshua Adams, please, to take us out of the show here.
Just great show. Go Bears. Awesome content tonight. Chris, great questions. Those were definitely doubles in the gap, not lazy singles. So, I always enjoy coming on here with you guys, especially on Saturday night.
Always fun, Josh. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Chris Hoge. Ditto.
And I can't wait to go scroll Twitter for 3 hours and just look at posts about the Bears. That's in my future.
Yeah, Bears fans, enjoy the night and the week. And Bears and 49ers fans, good luck to you all. And last but not least, my good buddy, Joe Perot.
Yeah, super fun. Gonna hit the Mucinex and hopefully get a good night's sleep. But always fun to hang out, especially on the late shift, and to experience a little bit of the euphoria of a true fan and or fans, because I know Hoj has some love for the Bears as well. I'm preparing for what feels like maybe it's going to be a rough go for the Niners tomorrow, I think, but I'm going to show up and root on. 1:30 Cali time. We play the Eagles, so we'll see what happens. But great show. Fun to be here.
Jeremy, can I add one more? Can I add an appendix to this episode?
Absolutely.
I think Joe debuted a new word on this episode. I think a new word was added to the lexicon, Evra, which means the collective works of a painter or a composer. So I do believe that was the debut of that word on Sports Cards Live, and I did look it up, and I did actually have to ask my Google how to pronounce it just to make sure I was pronouncing it right. But I wanted to make sure that got some airtime.
Chris, not only the debut on Sports Cards Live, likely the debut on all of hobby content of all time. Actually,
the debut in my lifespan as well.
Dan's Vintage says, feel better, Joe. Hobby Champ, fun discussions. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Good night, Sammy Hill. Appreciate you. He says, I can do this all night. Yankees fan says, solid show. Thank you all. Appreciate that. Michael Rader, good night to you. Thank you. Says, great discussion. Bob Boozle, well, winding down. Time to take off my cardigan, my shoes, and my socks. Good night, Chuck. Thank you for being here. Jeremy from California. Sorry it's over. Thank you for joining us anyway. Reef the Sea Forever says, remember, base cards matter. Iconic Al, good night and Godspeed, hobby gents. Chris says it's not a hobby anymore. I say it's a hobby. You can make it a hobby if you want, guys. You don't have to buy wax for it to be a hobby. It is a hobby within an industry. What else we got here? Linda's First says, thanks, Jeremy and guests and chat for another great night of SCL. Thank you so much. Bob Boozle, the episode will be known for the socks. Absolutely. GC, you looked it up. Can't believe he looked it up. Thank you, Jeremy Filippelli, for the great show. Comments, Go Niners, says Michael Rader. And Sammy Hill, final comment, says, Jeremy, idea for a new closing segment. Why are you smarter? Everyone goes around and says why they're smarter because of the night's live stream. That's not a bad idea, actually. What did you learn? What did you learn tonight during the show? And what made you think differently? Because I like to try to be as open-minded as I can. I have my theories on the way the world works, but if you present me with a theory that makes more sense to me, I'm willing to replace my existing theory with that new one and make it my own. I hope that happened tonight. I'd have to go through the whole thing and see if it did. Laura says, what a roller coaster ride of an evening. Thanks, Jeremy and crew. It absolutely was. This was fun, guys. Here on January the 10th, 2026, this episode of Sports Cards Live is now
over.
Over.
Evergreen, Evra, over.
And with that, good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.